Good evening. Welcome to this August the 4th, 2026 Board of Aldermen meeting, which is hereby called to order. I'd like to ask Pastor Rob Thomas, Church of the Harvest, to come forward and lead the invocation. Followed by the invocation, I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor, please stand.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with gratitude for our city, the city of Olive Branch. And we thank you for the privilege of calling this community home. We thank you, Lord, for the people who live here, who serve here, raise their families here, build their businesses here, and work every day to make this city a better place. Lord, we do pray for our mayor, for our board of aldermen, for every city official and employee who carries the responsibility of leadership. I ask, God, that you would grant them wisdom that is greater than their own, discernment in every decision, patience in difficult conversations, and courage to do what is right. Help them to lead with integrity, humility, fairness, and genuine concern for every citizen that they represent. We also pray for those who've come tonight to speak, to petition, to ask questions, and to express concern. Lord, let every voice be heard with respect, and may every conversation be marked by civility, understanding, and a desire for the good of our entire community. And Lord, most of all, remind us that while we are grateful for strong leadership and good government, our ultimate hope and trust is not in human wisdom or authority, but it is in you. You are the source of truth, justice, peace, and every good thing. God, all that is said and done tonight in this meeting, may the decisions made here strengthen this city, protect its people, and honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Thank you, Pastor Thomas. Just an administrative item. This is recorded live on YouTube and is played back live on our YouTube channel for the City of Olive Branch, and also archived for playback at a later date. Just be aware of that if you come to speak and give information to the board at the appropriate time. Board members and all of us up here, just remember that our microphones should be on green, should be lit to green when we're speaking, so that everyone can understand what's being discussed. Thank you. Ms. Stewart, would you please conduct roll call?
Aldridge. Here. Collins.
Here.
Dickerson.
Here.
Earhart.
Here.
Gamage.
Here.
Hamilton. Here. Wallace.
Here.
Thank you. 100% present. Obviously, a quorum is established. Board, you have before you the regular minutes of our July the 21st, 2026 board meeting. You've had access to those for a few days. Any questions about those minutes, comments, or motions to approve? Mr. Wallace, motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Collins. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Bernard Eccles. Bernard Eccles with us tonight? This is a little bit out of norm. It is our monthly Mayor's Award that goes to an employee of the city that has gone above and beyond and performed in an outstanding manner or very consistent manner to help our residents, to help our customers. It's one of the more fun parts of the job. And this money that I'm giving Bernard is not from taxpayer dollars. It's from citizens that donate and businesses that donate, so we can reward and good performance and model the way for ourselves and others. Recommendation was submitted by Lee Germany. It states, it's my honor to nominate Bernard Eccles of the City of Olive Branch Gas Department for the Mayor's Award in recognition of his outstanding service, dedication, and commitment to our community. On April the 3rd, 2026, Bernard celebrated 6 years of service with the city of Olive Branch. During that time, he has established himself as a dependable and hardworking employee who consistently takes pride in his work and the city he serves. His primary responsibility is replacing concrete driveways, sidewalks, curbs, and other surfaces that must be removed when repairs are made to the city's gas, water, sewer, and street infrastructure. The quality of his workmanship and attention to detail are evident in every project he completes. Bernard is known for his positive attitude and strong work ethic. He arrives at work on time, ready to work, and approaches each day with a smile. His professionalism and friendly demeanor have earned him countless compliments from residents throughout the years. In fact, despite working directly in neighborhoods across our city, Bernard has never generated a customer complaint. Never generated a customer complaint. That's awesome. A testament to both the quality of his work and the respect he shows to those he serves. What truly distinguishes Bernard is his initiative. When there are no active concrete work orders assigned to him, he does not wait for work to find him. Instead, he actively identifies damaged sidewalks and curbs throughout the city, brings them to the attention of the appropriate personnel, and works to ensure the necessary repairs are made. His willingness to take ownership and go beyond the expectations of his position helps make Olive Branch a safer and more attractive community for our residents. Bernard's dedication, dependability, positive attitude, and commitment to excellence make him highly deserving of this recognition. He is an outstanding representative of the city of Olive Branch and an example of the professionalism of public service that this ward is intended to honor. So I am pleased to recognize Mr. Bernard Eccles for going above and beyond, and thank you, Lee Germany, Director, for submitting his name for this award. There was always more than one, and they're always difficult to go through because we have a number of employees that do some great things, but you're the winner this month of, I always say, nobody wants a gift card at Starbucks. They don't want to have lunch with the mayor. They want some cold, hard cash, right? So here's $250, and congratulations for a job well done. Good job. Following this agenda, Board, you have the consent agenda of items that are administrative in nature that you've had an opportunity to look through. Just again, more administrative, lower level items that you had a chance to review. Any comments, questions, or motions to approve consent agenda items 1 through 23?
So moved.
Mr. Gamage, motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Hamilton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Planning Commission, old business, public hearing for consideration of an application for a zoning map amendment submitted by Bob Barber, Orion Planning Design, on behalf of property owners R.R. Bridgeforth heirs, Betty B. Funderburk et al., and Dudley B. Bridgeforth Jr. et al. The request is to rezone 561.8 plus or minus acres from A, Agricultural District, and AR, Agricultural Residential District, to M3, Planned Industrial District, for the purpose of creating the DeSoto Innovation District. The subject property is located within the northwest corner of Church Road and Craft Road. This meeting was set for a public hearing on tonight's date. It was set on June the 16th for tonight's date. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Aldermen, before you is a request to consider rezoning 261.8 acres piece of property. As you did mention, it is located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Craft Road North and Church Road East. This is the area shown here in yellow. This is the existing rubbish pit in the city. Margaret Manor subdivision is further to the south. Rolling Hills is to the south. This will be the FedEx facility, kind of giving you an orientation of where we are in the city. These are the ball fields area. So Highway 305 will just be further to the east of this particular site. So this is the 561 acres under consideration. The land area of this subject property does not extend to Crav Road. So line between the subject property, which is basically bounded by the North Creek, there is a little lake area here that separates the subject property from Crav Road. So that subject property does not go up to Crav Road. It extends to the south right down to Church Road. The current rubbish pit is not part of the subject property. The purpose why this is before you, there are mainly two issues going on. First, the existing rubbish pit at this particular location is almost full, and the state has requested that it be decommissioned not too long from now. As such, the county that manages this particular facility needs another land area for landfill or a clean field in the city. That is being proposed to be in this particular area. So you've got this area that will become, if this were rezoned or approved as proposed, this will become the new landfill area. The rest of the over 261 acres is being proposed to be subdivided and developed for three main categories of land uses, mainly light manufacturing, research, and technology-related uses. You will have 150 feet natural buffer reserved to the north of the property onto the creek. So that'll be 150 feet buffer, basically surrounding the property to the north and to the east. And then to the south, along Church Road, you would have a 75 to 150 feet buffer as proposed. There will be one road connection from within these light manufacturing, research, and technology uses area onto Church Road. That, however, is not proposed for, it will not be a truck route. It cannot be used by trucks. So that will just be ordinary employees will be able to use that particular road. There will be near road extension or connection at this particular location onto Craft Road. And then from Craft, of course, you cross Craft Road to the east, extending. So you have the near road connection here. Basically extend, connect through this property. In future, this will be near road extending onto Highway 305. A 1.78 miles greenway is also proposed as part of this development. As you may know, the city is currently building a greenway that extends from the ball fields right now up to Ross Road. This will be a section of that greenway. This gas station that is currently under construction has constructed part of that greenway already behind this, and as such, it's expected that in future the greenway will extend along Church Road. Behind this gas station, there will be a cantilever bridge here. The greenway will extend northward, cross at about this point where Nay Road, the new Nay Road extension will be, onto this property, extend southward onto Church Road, and then you will have a trailhead over here on Sandwich Road. That will be a total of 1.87 miles that will be constructed by the developer, not by the city. But of course, being for public use, it will have to be dedicated to the city. The development is proposed to be constructed in 4 main phases. Phase 1 will be in the southeast portion of the subject property. Phase 1 will be the landfill area. So phase 1 will be the landfill area. Phase 2 will be in the southeast portion of the subject property. Phase 3 will be the southwest portion, and then phase 4 will be to the north. And these phases, especially phase 2, the project text specifies that development in phase 2 can only begin after Nail Road has been fully connected onto Highway 305. So until Nail Road is constructed, extended to Highway 305, in other words, until this extension from here is completed onto this property, none of these light manufacturing, research, and technology uses lots can be developed. The current zoning of the entire property, there are actually 2 zoning districts in the entire property. There is a small area of about 2 acres that is Zone A, agriculture, and the rest of the property is Zone AR, agricultural residential. So the zoning proposal before you tonight is essentially to rezone this property from A and AR districts to M3 planned industrial district. Because it is a planned district, the application has to be associated with a project text and a preliminary development plan. In the approval of planned districts, the board considers both the rezoning itself from A and AR to M3 and the project text and preliminary development plan. So it's a package. All of these are considered together. It's important to distinguish between the conventional zoning districts we have in the city and the planned development district, and why the applicant is doing this as a planned development district as opposed to a conventional zoning district. In the conventional zoning districts like C1, C2, most of our residential district, the use lease, the development standards are specified in the zoning ordinance. In the planned development district, the applicant gets to propose those uses in the project text that you have before you. So what that does is it gives the Board of Aldermen greater opportunity to control what can be developed on that piece of property, both in terms of the land uses and all the development standards. The layout in conventional zoning district, that usually comes at the time of subdivision of the property, the preliminary plan. But when it's a planned development district, the board gets to see the layout, for it, which will be this, at the time of the rezoning of the property. So the board has authority today to make a decision regarding the layout of the property, the architectural design elements. All of that is a package that is before you today for consideration. If this were a rezoning to M1, M2 light industrial districts, you would not have those details in front of you. So all those details are before you today for consideration. Lastly, infrastructural elements, those usually for conventional zoning districts, those will usually be addressed at the time of subdivision platting. But with planned development district, the street layout, water, sewer, all of those are detailed in the project text, and they are before you for consideration tonight. So the application before you basically has 2 elements that are tied, they're together. But the board has to act on both of them. The review criteria for these 2 elements are different. But the board has to act on both of them together. 1, the request is to rezone the 561.8 acres property from A agricultural district and ARO agricultural residential district to M3 planned industrial district. The rezoning criteria will apply to this first element. The second element is for the board to approve the project text and the associated preliminary development plan for the DeSoto Innovation District that is associated with the rezoning. There are other 4 separate review criteria that apply to this second factor before you for consideration. What are the types of uses that are proposed to be on this property? The uses, as I did mention, are essentially light manufacturing in character. They are research and technology oriented, pharmaceutical, electronics, medical, institutional, educational. Those are mainly the uses that you have in this particular development. You do not have industrial warehouse distribution. That is not included in the use list. You do not have data centers. There is no data center proposed in this particular development. So the data center is not included in the proposed use list, whether as a permitted use or as a conditional use. What that means is if the property were rezoned as proposed, there could not be a data center on this particular piece of property, unless the Board of Aldermen at a future date were to allow that to happen, in which case you have an entire rezoning process again. So as proposed before you, there is no data center included in this proposed use list. The landfill area essentially will be used for Class 1 and Class 2 clean field rubbish pit operation. So that is, and of course, any offices that may be associated with the operation of that particular facility. With regard to the first element of the rezoning, addressing the rezoning criteria, under state law, the Board of Aldermen is required to find whether, one, the existing zoning of the property is a mistake. The applicant does not make any claim that the existing agricultural area or agricultural residentially zoned area of the property is a mistake. The Planning Commission did find that the 4.1 acres area, which is zoned agricultural, was rezoned from AR to A by the Board of Aldermen back November 17, 1998. The rest of the property has remained AR since its annexation in 1996. So there is no claim to the existing agricultural and agricultural residential zoning districts being a mistake. The facts show that the existing zoning is appropriate. The second criteria is actually in two parts, and these two parts go together. It's an and not an or. The board has to find that there has been a change in the character of the area and there is a public need for the rezoning. With regard to the change in the character of the area, the applicant submits that these 561 acres or so there's been a progressive change in the use of this property over time, from agricultural landscape to mining, which is industrial, it's an industrial activity, and part of it being used as clean field today. Clean field essentially in planning that will be utility. We'll classify that as utility. So there's been a progress over time from 1966, it was all agricultural out there, and then mining activities began in the late 60s, 70s, and then at some point, mining was decommissioned. You have the mining pits are still out there, and then you have the clean field that exists, or the rubbish pit that exists on a portion of the property. So there's been a progressive change in the character of the property over time. The character of this area can be looked at in one of two ways. And strictly, when one looks at character of an area, there is not an element in the law that limits the board to what the area is supposed to be. It is not 5 miles, 10 miles. It's a rush. You have to look at that particular piece of property and its surrounding from a rational perspective. Craft Road can be looked upon as a hard transition with a western portion where you have the subject property and an eastern portion that has been developed predominantly in the last 25 years or so from agricultural and residential in character to light industrial and institutional in character uses. So if you look at the west side of Craft, it used to just be agricultural, most of it natural trees growing on it. You had residential up to the north along Sandwich Road in 96, and today a lot of that has become light industrial. That's where you have FedEx and other IDI distribution facilities. The DeSoto Career Tech Center, that is the institutional piece, has recently been approved at this particular location east of Craft Road. West of Craft, 25 years ago, 1996, one would say, was predominantly industrial. Because mining activity was going on there. So it was predominantly an industrial activity area. Since then, it has become utilities. In other words, the clean field that you have that is a utility use. And the landfills have been decommissioned. You have trees have grown there. It's become kind of agricultural in nature. Of course, to the north, you have residential development that has come in the past 25 years. And then to the south, Margaret Manor, also residential, has been constructed. Between Latham Drive, Sandwich Road, and Church Road, there is this large piece of property that the board, I think last 2 years, approved for a planned major commercial node in this particular area. So there have been zoning changes, moving this area somewhat to commercial. There have been zoning changes that have increased residential development in the surrounding. And there have also been zoning changes that have increased industrial area or industrial development in this area if one looks at it from Sandwich Road to Highway 305. So the character of the area, strictly speaking, is not one use type. There is industrial going on, there is residential going on, there is commercial, and there is utility. In other words, the landfill itself. So it's not just one use type, land use type. With regard to the public need, the applicant submitted multiple public need arguments in the project text. There is a need for industrial land in DeSoto County. The disposal, the landfill disposal in Marshall County would trigger, if the landfill area were not approved and we didn't have a landfill on this particular piece of property, and residents of Olive Branch had to haul, their rubbish to Marshall County, that would, the applicant argues, trigger a severe 436.4% increase in annual disposal fees at a cost of over $6.2 million from local governments and residents each year. This will be a cost that the city of Olive Branch and its residents will bear disposing the rubbish in Marshall County. The Planning Commission looked at the comprehensive plan. What are the provisions of the comprehensive plan with regard to public need in this area? Policy 4.1.4 in the comprehensive plan stipulates that the city will request that the DeSoto County develop a long-range plan to close and repurpose its construction landfill for recreational purposes. That's basically what the county, in some extent, is proposing to do from this point forward, which is to close the existing landfill and then to create a different landfill. And the hope is that in future, with a new landfill, you'll be able to have, once that is also closed at some point, you'll be able to have a recreational area that integrates both the old and the new area. The future land use map designates the property for industrial distribution. So there is a western portion of the property that is designated for industrial distribution. And the eastern significantly large area is designated for rural estate residential development. That's basically lots that are minimum 1 acre in size. There is a southern western portion of the property that is designated in the comprehensive plan for neighborhood commercial development. I think what you have out there now are small storage buildings. Owned by, I think Mr. Fonderberg owns those facilities. With regard to the preliminary development plan criteria, there are 4 that the board basically reviews the plan before you based on. 1, with regard to the plan, to look at it in terms of the character of the community, considering the quality of construction proposed and the architectural compatibility of the proposed development with all the other uses that exist in the area. You're looking really at the alignment with character of the development east of Craft. So east of Craft, these are the warehouses that you have. What is being proposed, if you look at this design, kind of aligns with what you have east of Craft in terms of the quality of the development proposed. Of course, with regard to technology and research uses, that will look different. And I will get that on the next slide, for example. East of Craft, the buildings that you have basically look like this. These are teed-up buildings. FedEx looks like this. The IDI logistic facilities, they all look like this. what the applicant proposes in this project text, this will not be permitted. This will not be permitted. The buildings would rather have to look like this. This is more of research, technology park kind of design, as opposed to industrial warehousing distribution. Metal buildings that are sometimes used by contractors, will not be permitted on that particular piece of property. These sort of office technology park buildings designs, that is what will be permitted. This is already included in the project text. If the project text will approve, this will be binding. So IDI could not go out there, for example, and acquire 26 acres and build an industrial warehouse that looks like this. That could not happen. The second element to consider is the traffic conditions. Church Road and Craft Road are not truck routes. So currently in the city, Church Road and Craft Road are not truck routes. This development was approved as proposed. Trucks will not be able to use Church Road and Craft Road to go to this particular piece of property or exit from this particular side to the interstate or to Highway 305, unless Nail Road extension is constructed, as I will discuss. All streets will be constructed with curb, gutter, and sidewalks. Nail Road construction, so as I did mention, this will be the Nail Road extension. That extension will come out from the property onto Craft, and then across Craft to the east, and extend to Highway 305. If there were any trucks accessing this particular piece of property as currently proposed, that will be the route they would use. As such, in the project text, it is detailed that none of these light industrial research technology lots will be developed until Nail Road has been extended to this particular piece of property, because Church and Craft are not truck routes. To the north, of course, Davidson Road is not proposed to be extended to this piece of property. With regard to public utilities and facilities, there is a TVA line that comes in, extends through this area about here down towards a Church Road. And there are also gas lines that are available. Gas lines are shown here in yellow. All of these are water meters. You don't have water. Water is not available on this subject property. Fuel is also not available on this subject property. It will be the responsibility of the developer to make those extensions. With regard to impact on public health, safety, and general welfare, we periodically receive complaints with regard to the landfill areas, folks going up, ascending on Church Road. You have debris falling off on Church Road. If East Sandwich Road were extended as proposed in the preliminary development plan and the project text, then that provides an opportunity where individuals will be able to dispose of the rubbish material using that connection from Nail onto the new rubbish pit area without going up on Church Road. With regard to the noise impact of possible trucks docking on this particular facility, that would significantly depend on how the buildings are constructed, such that you don't have the truck docking or loading areas facing residential piece of property or the public street. The design element will have to take that into consideration. A 100-foot buffer is also proposed surrounding this particular development with over 200 feet of setbacks from adjoining or surrounding residential area. With regard to light, the city's design review ordinance requires, and that will apply to any development on this side, that the light intensity at property lines has to be 0. So any lot being developed, the developer will have to submit construction plans to staff for review. Those construction plans include a photometric plan, and the photometric plan has to show that the light intensity at the property lines will be 0. In effect, it will basically be dark. It has to be dark at the property line. And so no light can spill from this particular side onto adjoining property. And as I did mention earlier, no data centers can be developed on this particular piece of property. None of those is included or that particular use is included in the project text. So noise from data centers that citizens are concerned about, we will not have that on this particular side. The Planning Commission at its meeting on June 9 reviewed this application and unanimously recommended denial by a vote of 7-0. That is a unanimous element of it. Recommended denial. Upon finding that the subject property, the rezoning of the subject property, recommended denial of the rezoning of the subject property from A agricultural and A agricultural residential district to M3. Upon finding that the character of the area west of Craft, so the Planning Commission did not focus on whatever is happening east of Craft, they focused just west of Craft. The character of the area west of Craft, this road being a hard transition buffer separating the eastern and western lands that lie on both sides of Craft Road, north of Church, south of Autumn Point and Wedgwood subdivisions, has changed from industrial to predominantly agricultural in the last 25 years. So the Planning Commission's finding was that yes, there's been a change west of Craft in the last 25 years, but that change has been from predominantly agriculture, from industrial, that was a rubbish pit, the mining activity going on there, to predominantly agricultural, not industrial, which the proposed rezoning does not align with, and that the future land use map in the comprehensive plan designates most of the property as rural estate, which is basically residential, not industrial. At that meeting, the Planning Commission had before it an alternative approval recommendation for consideration. That alternative took into consideration the changes that have happened east of Craft, industrial in nature. It took into consideration the proposal that in the use list, you don't only have industrial, light industrial uses, you also have technology and research uses. So the entire development could end up being research and technology in nature. It also took into consideration the fact that over the years, what was initially agricultural has also been developed for mining activities that are industrial in nature. If that were so approved, then the project text could also be approved subject to these conditions 1 through 7. Condition number 3, for example, no lot in the DeSoto Innovation District may be developed for industrial use in Area A until such time that Nay Road is connected onto the district. There shall be no heavy-duty 18-wheeler truck access from this district onto Church Road. A uniform 150 feet wide natural buffer shall be maintained around the entire subject property. That includes along Church Road. The trail in the district shall be completed in each phase of the subdivision such that there are no gaps in its length, and it will be dedicated to the public for general public use. The maximum height of the clean field side shall be provided and approved by the Board of Aldermen at the preliminary plat approval of the potential lot for the clean field area. This height should minimize visibility of the clean field from Autumn Point and Wedgwood subdivisions. The Planning Commission considered the possibility of just rezoning the landfill area while denying the rezoning of the industrial, technology, and other areas which the applicant was not in favor of. There is a third option in front of the Board of Aldermen for consideration tonight, because the Planning Commission did not have this option. That option the Board of Aldermen always has when dealing with any rezoning application that involves a project text. And that option is essentially to table the application and remand it to the Planning Commission with specific directions. If the Board of Aldermen felt that certain changes need to be made, can be made, or need to be made to the project text, which the Planning Commission needs to take a look at again before it comes back to you for action, you could so act. Or the board could direct the applicant to work with staff, revise the project text and the preliminary development plan with certain changes, regarding the use list, the layout, the amenity features, design aesthetics, or any other element as the board may so want, as the board may so desire, and bring it back directly to the board for further consideration. You've exercised this authority in multiple other planned developments in the city. For example, Kirk Farms, you did this with Kirk Farms, Villages at South Branch Subdivision. So this has been done with other planned developments in the city. The board has that option before you for consideration tonight. That concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Asong. Board members, any questions regarding this staff report? Any questions on the staff report?
Dr. Asong, what is the proposed phase one, or phase A, whatever that was listed as, for the extension of Nail Road to actually be completed in terms of years?
There is, the applicant did not specify that, but I think that question came out of the Planning Commission, and I'll let the applicant address that. The landfill will be phase one. So the
Yes.
landfill is phase one. The question is, what is the time frame for Nail Road extension onto this property? How long will it take for Nail Road to be extended from where it is now? Let me get to the map. Just give me a second. Let me get to the map. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any additional questions from the board regarding the staff report?
What is the elevation of the development as opposed from the Craft Road berm or barrier? When it sets back, does it go back down into the development, or is it going to be built above it if it's?
From Craft Road, it will be barely visible. First, all of this area, this is Craft Road, and all of this is natural vegetation that will remain. So all those trees will remain in place. Any development in here will be barely visible from Craft Road. So that's the first. The second is the area is generally flat in nature, but once you get towards closer to the landfill, the elevation increases slightly. As you get closer
What
to the
about
landfill.
from the Church Road side?
From the Church Road side, is a significant, there's a steep hill. All of this area is very, very steep. Right down here where you have the creek is relatively flat, but once you cross the creek and you go to about 200, 300 feet from the creek, it becomes very significantly steep. So if you take that elevation, the steep elevation, plus the 150 feet natural trees that will be preserved there, you will hardly see anything happening from Church Road. It will hardly be visible.
Once you go up the hill from Church, does it level off or does it go back down on that property side, on the 561 acre side?
I'm sorry, sir, could you say that again?
If you're traveling down Church and you see the big hills on the side, does it go up and go level like here, or does it go up, go level, and then drop back down?
It goes up and then it drops and then it levels.
Okay. And we don't have a timeline like Alderman Dickerson was inquiring?
Yeah.
I think the applicant's going to cover the timeline
under.
under the phasing. I think page 16 of the brochure, he'll cover the phasing in plan.
Okay.
Anything additional from the board on the staff report? Hearing none, does the applicant have information to add?
Mayor, Board, it's a pleasure to be before you tonight. My name is Bob Barber. I'm a founding partner with Orion Planning and Design. I reside at 919 Getwell Road in Hernando, and our group, Orion Planning and Design, is domiciled in at 1105 Village Way in Missoula, Montana. So it's again, a pleasure to be before you to present what represents a strong opportunity for the city of Olive Branch in terms of economic development, complementary to existing development patterns, and a extremely high quality addition to an already very high quality community, city of Olive Branch. I don't want to repeat or belabor anything on a very thorough report that's provided by your planning director. I would like to highlight a few of the items and go through the justification in the form of a PowerPoint. And Mayor, if I go too long or roll on, just give me the high sign, and we'll certainly be respectful of that. Let me first of all just answer that question. That came up right away on the timeline. On that Nail Road, which we'll get to in a moment, would be at a minimum of 5 years, and in all likelihood it will be in the 10-year time frame. So it's an extended time frame before that area is reached. So the development is operating under the banner of DeSoto Innovation District because it is designed as a whole, as has already been stated, M3 planned industrial. The entire district is planned, and the goals are to provide both critical public infrastructure, vital public infrastructure for the city and for the county, and then also to provide for something that is categorically different than the development patterns that are immediately to the east. The DeSoto Innovation District is targeted at advanced manufacturing, not logistics, and it's just of a different kind and character than what is to the east. So if we could advance the slides, I'll rely on Dr. Asong, to do that. We've already seen the site. I think you know clearly where that is, and as you advance and go forward, I will spend a moment here on the change in the character of the area. The mining that took place on the site and what we are terming clean fill, and that's a strategic term because this is a non-polluting material. It's a clean site, and what is termed in state rules rubbish pit. That site and the mining area occurred before the development of the neighborhoods around it. In fact, they were both in operations as the neighborhoods developed. They were there. And as the site was mined and then later in the process of being decommissioned, the character did change. It changed from an active mining site to one that is now a dormant mining site. But we would assert that it's not agricultural in character. There are no crops grown there. There are no crops capable of being grown on the majority of the site. And it lies essentially fallow. It is just, it's there in a series of lakes that you see. So that's the manner in which the character changed over time, and we documented that in the master plan. So as the slide advances, let me touch on first the advanced employment component of the district. The goal is to create state-of-the-art facilities that will match and complement a state-of-the-art educational facility that's being built essentially right across the street. DeSoto County Board of Education, you all have an asset coming to the community that is superb and will be superb. There is other talk of other educational institutions clustering in that area, and the purpose of those institutions is to train a workforce that is prepared for today's jobs and today's careers. And that is, in this case, in our case, complemented by the district, which would offer advanced manufacturing opportunities. So there's the educational facilities, there's the diversification from not just warehousing and logistics of that, but diversified into advanced manufacturing. There is some depletion of industrial or employment land supply in Olive Branch. Those sites of this nature and size and ability to concentrate these activities are, I won't say non-existent, but very, very limited at this time. So this would broaden that supply. And then we would argue that the comprehensive plan supports the proposed rezoning. I'll get to that in a moment. We already know the training facility that's occurring there. You've seen the photo of it again along Craft Road. This will complement the district, and the district will complement it. Advanced manufacturing offers a substantially higher wage benefit to the city, high quality jobs to the city, and this is documented here. We pulled some statistics out of the St. Louis Fed, and I won't go through that other than to state that there is a premium. These are premium opportunities for the community, and very important as the economy develops in Olive Branch over time. I already mentioned the depletion of land supply to accommodate these items, and that's what that slide depicts. So it takes care of a supply need that will be ongoing unless we can provide for that supply now. And as you advance the slide, again, this is the comprehensive plan. So as you look to the left, Dr. Song has already shown this, but on the western edge of our site, or really the western portion of the site, is in the comprehensive plan designated as industrial. And I don't know if you can do your, right there where the cursor is on the screen. So we have Craft Road with a training facility, a gap, and then an industrial designation. So we're proposing to correct or fill in the gap with a quality compatible activity in terms of the advanced manufacturing. So in this instance and in this case, we view this as support from the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. And then as you advance the slide, we would move into just the overall economic benefits of advanced manufacturing. This data comes from the DeSoto Council, and it will essentially demonstrate, without going through the details there, and studies have borne this out, it would take about 1,000 homes to equal the tax revenue generated by the industrial development there. And then when you consider the costs, the public costs of the two types of development, the costs are lower to maintain public safety and other public benefits for the industrial development. So from that standpoint, it is economically viable and important to consider in the economic development of the city. And as you proceed, let me go to the second point, which is critical public infrastructure. The clean field component provides a service to our county that is vital to its livability, to its safety, to the support of local businesses, to emergency preparedness, and just a few points related to that as you advance to the next slide. The residents of DeSoto County utilize this. I utilize it for trees, brush, various other appropriate materials that are non-polluting, and individuals use it. You put your limbs and brush out on the street. The brush truck gets it to the tune of 1,500 to 2,500, 1,500 to 2,250 loads per week. Per month from residents of DeSoto County. It is a very, very important service from that regard. And then as you go to the next slide, it will also support contractors, construction industry, which is so important to DeSoto County. If the facility is not available, they have to go elsewhere. And the closest one at this point, the closest two at this point, one over in the Walls area, which is questionable, the other one over in Marshall County. So that from that point of view, it's very, very important. And then in the next slide is critical public infrastructure from the standpoint of storm preparedness. We've had a storm recently, and that debris, in order for a neighborhood to recover quickly and come back online quickly, emergency services has to dispose of the material. And if the material has to be trucked to a far distance, then it slows the entire process down, not to mention the costs and the availability of services elsewhere, and can you even get to them in the midst of a storm? So having the clean field component is vital for emergency services. We're doing some work in Oxford now, and this ice storm just was they had no facility to accommodate, and it was not easy in the early days figuring out how to recover and get neighborhoods back online. So that is that. And then just from a cost standpoint, this slide, I won't go through all the numbers. I'll just point you to the red squares. This is a log of costs that was produced by Bob Jarman and his group, and the two red items there are the amount of revenue produced. So that would have to be paid out elsewhere, correct? So that we would end up with a 266% cost increase for just the municipalities. And in the next slide, we ran a financial model on the loss of the last landfill. And if you'll go to the next one there, oh, you did. The next one will include the municipalities, the county, contractors, and individual homeowners having to haul. We factor in time, we factor in tipping fees, we factor in the costs of additional manpower, and then additional travel costs, and that's where we arrive at the cost increase of over 400% when we look at the picture as a whole. So from that, I'll finish up with just, I'll try to do it in 3 or 4 minutes. I didn't know if Mr. Medlin wanted to speak to the solid waste part of it. You good? Okay. So the layout has already been reviewed. You can skip that slide. We move into the justification. So justification for the rezoning, I've already mentioned the change in the character of the area, not to agricultural, but to the remnant of an industrial use, which is mining. And that is the change in the character, and we demonstrated that with the aerial maps and the fact that essentially nothing can be grown on 80% of the site. And it is also a very poor quality for pasture. Most of it's lakes and so forth. So that character, the area component, the essential public need, I just went over that. The economics of it, the transportation costs, the disaster recovery and resilience, and then also aligning with the comprehensive plan. If you'll click one more, I just want to show this one more time. The The site that is proposed for the clean field is designated in the comprehensive plan as an industrial site. So we have industrial contemplated on the west side of Craft Road and directly west and abutting a former gravel mine. So our assertion here is that we fill that gap with high quality, complementary employment uses that are of high value to the city and really to the region, quite frankly, and complementary to the educational infrastructure and the training infrastructure that is being or is about to be constructed on Craft Road. So that would be the support from the comprehensive plan. I also mentioned the land supply, superior buffering to answer the question about sightlines. The topography rises from Church Road and then falls back, so the buildings will sit at a lower elevation than the top of that ridge along Church Road. And where the land flattens or kind of converges to road level, there's a substantial buffer of trees there, mature trees, beautiful trees, that will be left to obscure and mitigate any view of the site. And let's also be mindful, I would like for you, if you would please, to be mindful of the public amenity here. We're extending a greenway that is a great asset and will be a great asset to the city of Olive Branch, connecting parks, connecting those employment opportunities with the educational opportunities across the street, being a very, very positive feature of the plan. The last two slides I submit them for the record if you want to click through the last two. These simply indicate on the map all the areas where development decisions and zoning decisions have been made throughout the area, from the build out of the Cleanfield site, the completion of surface mining, designation of future industrial, the commercial rezonings to the west of this site, and a substantial commercial rezonings over there, the potential of NWCC East Campus. We know the school is going there, and then the various commercial zonings and the construction of a TVA power line. So that last little rundown of those numbers is more for the record than anything else, just to ensure that we demonstrate, Mr. Mayor, that the area is changed, and we're planning, proposing development that is in keeping and an asset to the city, satisfies multiple needs, and provided in a very high quality way. Any questions I can answer, here I am.
So phase 2, 3, and 4, you're looking at possibly 10 years before that even gets started, correct? Because it won't get started until Nail Road is completed. You said it could be anywhere from 5 up to 10 years. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. That's correct. Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Gamage.
Hey, I've got a question. In your design, you got an entrance off of Church Road.
Yes, sir.
Did y'all design that, or our planning department suggest that? I mean, I really don't like that off of Church Road.
It was suggested along the way. I can't recall where that suggestion came from,
Yeah.
but we didn't have it in at first. We were asked to place it in.
All right. Well, I mean, personally, I don't like that. I mean, I would think to either, you got Sandy's Road coming in there if you want more, the workers to come in, or you can carry a road up by the mini storage, somewhere, I don't know exactly. That existing rubbish pit may be blocking a road up through there. But it looks like where it comes out, I've rode the road, you had some blind spots in there coming over the hill and down the hill and stuff.
Yes, sir, and the positioning there is not final. It's to indicate that there would be something.
Okay.
We'd have to
I
do
mean,
a study,
Yeah,
but
me
we
looking at the
didn't.
phases, you know, the way you got even phase one, you
Right.
might could eventually carry it up to Sandage Road. I guess Sandage will be, you know, probably extended on up eventually one day. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Or like I said, that doesn't, I don't like that.
Right, and we did not have that in there to begin with.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Additional questions, board, for Mr. Barber?
Mr. Barber, does Dr. Song have a copy of your PowerPoint? I guess you do because you were toggling through it.
Yes, sir.
My assumption is you want your PowerPoint added to the record.
Please. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Barber.
Thank you.
Supervisor Medlin, did you have information to add? Supervisor Medlin? Thank you, Supervisor Medlin, for being with us tonight.
Yes, sir. I appreciate, Honorable Mayor and Board Aldermen. I appreciate y'all letting me speak tonight. And I'm here on the rubbish pit part. And I think everybody that's involved in government, and probably everybody in this room, we've been talking about the rubbish pit being full at our site. It's been lasted about 40 years for 28 acres. So that kind of surprised me. It was there when I got in office, and it's about full now, and we need another site. And we've been looking for years and everything, but it's been more critical lately because I think, I know all y'all know on the board, that Railroad Avenue that we approved through the county for conditional uses for years was old gravel pit at 178 Hacks Crossroad. And it was bought out by Waste Connections, and they just a garbage company, they call it Railroad Avenue. So we thought we were gonna be able to dump at that site for years to come because they had more room, and, you know, thought everybody would, the city and county and everybody. So it was real good for the eastern side of the county anyway. So we had that site, and we had our site at Sanders Road. We had the site at Star Landing Road that's privately owned too, like Railroad Avenue was. I've always tried, since I've been in office for 34 and a half years, to make sure the county owned a rubbish pit and operated to hold down costs to the citizens and taxpayers. And I wanted everyone to know, most people know this, but the way the tax structure is, y'all pick up the limbs, the city picks up limbs, all the municipality picks up limbs in the municipalities. We pick them up in the county, Board of Supervisors. So the tax money for that is appropriated through the board for disposal of those limbs, just like it is for your solid waste, your garbage. So we make those decisions, put those taxes on to pay for disposal. Of course, y'all pay for your trucks and your drivers to pick up the limbs, and you contract your garbage out like we do. But what the problem is going to be, since Railroad Avenue made a decision to close, and it was a business decision for them, so they kind of kept their pit over, and they own one in Marshall County where all our garbage in this room goes to, that we negotiated a contract with for it to be disposed over in Marshall County. So we don't have a contract for rubbish debris with them. Our contract is $22 a ton for disposal. They actually, when we went out for bid, they actually had a cheaper price this time. Ever since I've been in office, it went to Malone Road to BFI. So we made a business decision to save taxpayers' money, a couple dollars a ton for garbage disposal, to go over to Marshall County. So your contractor is Waste Connection, I think, and ours is too. They own that pit and they haul it over there. But we saving, you know, a couple $1 million a year on disposal costs by making that decision. But we don't have a contract for rubbish with them. So today, if we don't negotiate a contract and our pit's full, we haul it to Marshall County, then we're gonna be paying $22 a ton instead of $2 and something a yard at our pit for that. So what I'm saying tonight is a need for the rubbish pit. I'm here to represent the rubbish pit, represent the county and the taxpayers in the county and taxpayers all over this county to save money to have us another rubbish pit. I don't know that we'll ever fill that whole site. I know we won't be in this room. Nobody in this room will be alive. But it'll last a long time because 28 acres lasts us 40 years. And that's South Haven bringing in limbs there, Hernanda, Olive Branch, and at one time Horn Lake. They probably go over to Star Landing Pit now. That's the other choice we have, to go to Star Landing, and it's privately owned. So on this side of the county, for the county and the city, you know, the residents, it's a pretty good little haul over there. So you about could go to Marshall County just as, you know, close. But the fuel cost and everything is what's going to hurt everybody. And you know what diesel fuel is. I called today for off-road diesel for a tractor, of course farm use, but it's more, you know, for on the road use, and it's right at $5 a gallon. And when you get 500 gallons, it kind of hurts. So, but that's the thing we're up against right now. But I want everybody to know, though, you don't just go out there and start dumping stuff in the hole. You know, we go through DEQ. We have to have a lot of planning done. Sometimes you got to put a synthetic liner in that pit. And the ideal thing is to fill a gravel pit like we have on this site. So, and reclaim it. So when we get this site started, and if we get approved, then we're going to go north with it over the road and that's there now, which is really just a dirt road. So we're going to go north with it. We'll cover that pit. We're required to. We're required to cover it like they did the old landfill on Star Landing Road. And you got to have, you know, grass growing on it, keep it cut, and they monitor that. So but I want everybody to understand, the only thing that goes in that pit is building materials, storm debris, and we have used this site some to burn stuff. You know, we've had parts of the county we had tornadoes in, we've had high winds several times, and we're struggling to keep up picking up the limbs down. I'm sure you are too, because of some of the high winds and storms we have. But we try to burn everything we can. You know that when we have a tornado, we have to get approved from DEQ. We have to do it right, have to dig a hole, have a pit, and have to do it right, have somebody on site, no burn after dark. We follow all the state regulations. And it's, this last little tornado head in Hernanda area, it really hurt them, you know, here about a year ago. But they had to pile up stuff to make it, you know, because they didn't have the trucks to haul it over here to burn it. But what I'm saying today, though, that you just don't go out there and put anything in there. You know, all of your solid waste, all your garbage, all your food goes over in Marshall County to another pit. And what we're talking about is things of that nature. And if we can get this site, you know, we got a lot more land than we had in previous. Of course, we have a truck there for tire disposal. People have, residents can come in and dispose of 4 loads of furniture, debris, whatever, a month, as long as they got a Sody County tag. And, you know, so it don't cost them anything. But we contract the pit out to be run, and right now Waste Pro is the contractor. We don't know who will be the next contractor when we go out for another bid. But, you know, we keep money in the bank. We keep taxpayers' money in the bank, not my money, everybody's money, in the bank to cover that pit. I think we got close to $2 million to close the pit we got now. I just hope that's enough when the time gets there. You know, our costs go up because we try to add some every year. But anyway, that's the thing I'm speaking on tonight is the rubbish pit and the need for it. And if we do get the rubbish pit, I want to say this, we plan on having more recycling, you know, at that place. You know, we got a trailer now where you can take used tires and dispose of them. We got things you put metal in and everything. But we plan on having, expand our recycling program on this site. If we can, you know, because we have enough room there. But anyway, I want to thank y'all for listening to me. And I know y'all have a tough decision to make. And in closing, I'd like to say I appreciate every one of you stepping up to serve. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer for you.
Thank you, Supervisor Medlin.
Okay,
Any
thank you.
questions, board, for Supervisor Medlin?
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment that I thought was very important. If Mr. Medlin's math is correct, and I'm sure it is, 28 acres and 40 years, if this 141 acre site, Section B, were to pass, that would give us a life of roughly 160 to 200 years of something that's a very vital part of what we need. So I think that's something to strongly be considered by everyone. Thank you, sir.
That's why I said nobody in this room would be alive if we ever filled the whole site, but we probably won't ever fill the whole site, in my opinion. And that's another thing I'd like to say too, that you brought that up, Mr. Errol. We do it in sales. You know, we'll take a sale, you know, so many acres, and we'll put the right kind of dirt in it, or whatever DEQ requires, because you just don't use any type of dirt. You got to haul in a certain type of dirt that's got a clay liner, so it won't seep. But we do that, and we do it all by the rules. And we have a consultant here tonight that is a lot more knowledgeable than me, and if y'all got any questions for him, we'd be glad to bring him up.
Mr. Battle, what is your backup plan if this is not approved? Because the rubbish pit, I can talk a little louder. You step back. I can talk a little louder. What is your backup plan if this is not approved tonight? Because this rubbish pit belongs to the county. So what is the county's plan moving forward? This doesn't get approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just
I'm sorry, that's why I get a little closer.
I'm sorry.
I need hearing aids, but I won't give in to them. But anyway, the backup plan, if we don't get this approved, we got a little bit of space left at our pit that we're going to put a liner in, and so we got a waiver from Mr. Funderburk to put probably last 24 months if it lasts that long. But the backup plan would be go to Marshall County or haul it over to Starland. So it's a long haul either way in the cost.
Well, hey, just let me ask you something. The existing site right now, well, the new proposed site is just north of it. Would the county build a road between the two of them?
County what now?
Build a road. 'Cause I remember I was looking for a different way out.
I'll build a road into it.
Yeah, well, to connect each other.
It would extend to the north.
It would,
It would just continue to the north.
okay, it wouldn't be a road there left.
We use the same road.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but I wonder why you couldn't do that.
Yeah. If there's any roads that to be built, we'll
I'm just
build.
trying to find a second way. If the guy proposing employees, entrance, and I don't know why you couldn't go that way and not, y'all give up a road, rather than just, cover it all up.
Yeah, if any roads to be built, we'll build them. Is that what you're asking?
Okay.
I'm Jim McDonald. I'm the county's consultant on the design of the landfill. Some of it is prospective right now. Just like the gentleman over here said, we have planned to use about half of the property to the north and then some of the property that you see to the east. The property to the east would be used for class 2 rubbish, which is just tree limbs. And to the north, we contemplate right now that road, Sandage Road, that goes between the two sites is owned by the Roberts family. So we plan to fill in that area because you gain more by filling in right next to where the current landfill is. And so just like Mr. Jesse said, you're going to use less property. You're only going to fill it some at a time. But again, just like the gentleman over here pointed out, we anticipate with all the property at least 150 years of capacity. But one plan is we've contemplated putting a road around it, but again, the road around it would just be for the use of the rubbish site, people coming in.
Well, that was my question, because they were trying to find another entrance for employees. And it looks like the rubbish pit is back blocking everything to the west. Yeah, and that's why I was asking, if the county could build or y'all would designate a road either on the first phase or even on the third phase. That's why I was looking. If you got that much room, you look like, some of it could be used.
Yes, no, I mean, and that's a good point, and we're still contemplating.
But I mean, if not, I mean, I pointed out Sandage Road might be completed.
And that would come up in the project text phase of drilling down.
To Mr. Collins' point, Hassan, can you go to page 10 of the proposed project text? Mr. Barber, there's a map 4 conceptual site plan B in your proposed project text that appears to show the road that Mr. Collins is referencing.
Yeah, I got it pointed right. I've got mine up.
Yeah.
See, I got mine up.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, sir, and as you said, that's conceptual. We're still working out the final details, but the plan is that the rubbish site traffic access would not change from the current access, right? There would not be any rubbish traffic coming through the industrial park. It would still come, the way it's coming now, essentially.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what's contemplated.
All right.
One other question, what's the capacity at the Star Landing location at this point? As far as, it's not.
No, the Star
percentage.
Landing's filling up as well, too.
Do we know what percentage is left that could be used?
The Star Landing has about 2 years of life left at max. Yes, sir.
So both of them are looking at about 24 months max.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any additional questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Board, just so you're aware, the estimate from an operational standpoint is if the city of Olive Branch has to carry debris to Marshall County to the quad, as they call it, it would be about $1.2 million for the first year to get the additional equipment, staffing on board, and then it would be about $600,000 every year thereafter, including the $119,000 that Mr. Barber mentioned that would cost the city of Olive Branch. I call them dumping fees. I think you called it tipping fees, but we don't tip too well in government, so it's dumping fees for us. But it would be about $1.2 million the first year and about $600,000 the second year that we obviously are not budgeted for. This is a public comment. If you're here as a proponent, you're here in favor of this application, raise your hand. If you're here in favor of this application and you're a proponent. Seeing none, if you're here in opposition of this application and have not filled out one of these blue cards yet, please raise your hand. If you have not filled out one of the blue cards, I'd like for you to come forward, please. There's some cards on the rail before you get up into this area. Officer Pulley, thank you. He'll pass those cards out to you, and I will call individuals up to give comments. And obviously, please hold your hand up if you need a card. The board and I want to hear from you, absolutely. At the same time, I encourage you to, if information's already been covered, you may cover it again, but if the board's heard it, then that might suffice. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Order. Order, please. Order, please. Thank you. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. We want you to speak. We want you to cover your items that you have for us. It's not a debate. It's not a question and answer session. It's simply an opportunity for you to share with the board your public comments that you have for the board before they make the decision. So please address all comments to the board, not to the applicant or the expert that spoke. They should be addressed to the board. First, Pat Pennington. Pat Pennington, come forward. Pat Pennington. Sonny Barkley. Excuse me, Mr. Pennington's here. My apologies.
I'm just slow, you know that. Last time you said it wouldn't come off my time either.
No, sir, it will not. And ladies and gentlemen, since you've already given your address on the blue card, just your name for the clerk, there's no need to give your home address again. We just want to capture who spoke and the home address, but we have those on the blue card, the address. So, Mr. Pennington, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing well.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Absolutely.
As you can tell, I'm here in opposition to the rezoning. There has already been land rezoned on the east side of Crafts Road, where they want to put in a data center. I was very pleased that they had noted no data center on the slides. I guess what I'm getting at is how many of you moved here so that you could look at the beautiful warehouses we built? Huh? How many of you? How many of you live next to the warehouses? None of you. All right? Now, you're turning our nice city into a concrete and asphalt jungle. All we're doing is building warehouses and industrial facilities. The applicant's wanting to put one on Church Road. That's right down the road from the youth soccer fields that we paid millions for. There's already one approved just down the road. That's what I want my kids to be able to say when they grow up. Yeah, I played soccer between a bunch of warehouses. I mean, that's not what we all are here for. We're here because we love our city. We love how it is. But we don't want all of this asphalt and concrete. I mean, the city needs to go back and look at the results of some of the zoning changes that have been done. Take this nice, big, beautiful center down here at 302 and Highway 78. I hope I'm on the right road. But they bulldozed all of the beautiful trees down there. They started construction, and the first guy defaulted. Now all we get to look at are piles of dirt. I just don't believe that this administration wants to do that to our city. I don't believe you do. These warehouses and manufacturing facilities did not elect you.
30 seconds.
They did. I want to know if there's anyone here who has the courage to make a motion that this rezoning be denied. And if any of you have the courage to vote against it, because that's what we elected you for, was to protect
us and our property and our city. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Pennington.
You
Miss-
didn't have to have him come up and pull me down.
No. Ms. Stuckey? Excuse me, Miss Barkley, my apologies. Take your time. Take your time. That's what we're here for. You even put, someone else put a smiley face on the card. That was nice.
Okay, I'm Sunny Barkley. I represent hundreds of people in Olive Branch, and I know that they want what he said he wanted. Number one, you're presenting something that's going to cause a danger. You're going to flood, once you asphalt all this area, you're going to flood the area south. Pleasant Hill Estates, all up and down that creek, you're looking at flooding when you asphalt all this area. Two, you've got a choice. Be brave enough to say, no, we want the rubbish pit. Sure, we got to have that, but we don't have to have all this other industrial stuff. You're still going to get the Northwest and all those sorts of technological things that you want, but we don't have to put these industrial places here. Yes, the rubbish pit, that's a definite need. Stand up for that. He talked about all these things east of Craft Road going industrial. We're talking west of Craft Road. That is surrounded by how many subdivisions that continue to go in. Some of the people that have the land that they're pushing for this to be are still putting in subdivisions in our area. The connection to Church Road, for a road to put in from there, that is asking for death. There is no area of sight lines for a street to come out from this area onto Church Road, and you are ruining the lives of the people whose houses back up to Church Road. Do you want all that headlights in your backyard? We've already got Church Road 100 feet from our houses anyway. Don't destroy the residents and our well-being who live in that subdivision. You've got all these other roads that you can use. Don't bring it out on on Church Road. This says data centers would not be permitted. It doesn't say they would be banned. Nowhere did I see data centers are banned. You talk about a 150 to 75 foot barrier between Church Road and this. Parts of the time he's talking about 75 feet. Are we talking 150 feet of barrier? Or are we talking 75 feet? Who's going to patrol this? When all those old trees die, as they are doing now and falling across Church Road, who's going to replant it? Who's going to keep that 75 foot to 150 foot barrier between all of our subdivisions and this industry that doesn't have to go there? There's so many places in DeSoto County you can put industry. Yes, the rubbish pit. Yes, we understand the money, the need. You've got areas for a rubbish pit. Use your power to get a rubbish pit, but don't do all this industrial stuff and ruin our subdivisions and the lights coming into our subdivisions and danger of all these cars trying to pull onto Church Road down in that pit where you do not have lines of sight. You've got lines of sight on Sandage. You've got lines of sight Pleasant Hill Road. And I thank you very much, and I appreciate your consideration because I know that you can fix this for the hundreds and thousands of us who live in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barkley. And you did put the smiley face on your card, so thank you. We like pleasant things every once in a while. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ricky Denton.
Hello, I'm Ricky Denton. My property backs up right to Church Road, right in the middle of where this proposed area will be, so I'm right in the middle of it. As far as the character of the area, I've been here 32 years and in that same spot. I don't see that the character of this area has changed that much as far as whether it was industrial or residential or agriculture residential. It's always seemed agricultural residential to me. I don't know where they come up with saying that it's, you know, industrial. I mean, the mine, they use the term mining like you're out west, you know, and you've got a gold mine or something. But I mean, it's been a rubbish pit, and it's been a gravel pit. But you know, you would not even know it was there unless you went over there. So, yeah, you might call it mining, industrial, or whatever, but it's not that in our mind, and never has been. You know, if anything, the area has become more residential. There's been subdivisions built, as Sonny said, you know, Margaret Manor, Robinson Crossing, I think it is, was built not too long ago at Pleasant Hill and Church. Not too long ago, an application was submitted for to develop a small subdivision there at Sandage and Church, right across the street from where part of this is going to be, or hopefully won't be. I mean, all the land, I believe, north, south, west of this area is either residential or, PUD or agricultural residential currently. I mean, the current zoning map has it all AR, I believe. The future map has it all AR or estate residential. And I don't know where that little square of purple on the future comp map is, or where that came from, or what the plan is for it, right in the middle of all of the AR area. I mean, I don't know what that's about. But anyway, I just, you know, urge you to keep the industrial and residential areas as separate as possible. You know, this is a unique spot right in the middle, from Wedgwood to Pleasant Hill Estates, that whole area. You know, this spot that they're talking about is right in the middle of all of that. You know, why stick an industrial type facility in the middle of all this existing agricultural residential? So, is that the timer? So I just urge you to deny the application to rezone as it was recommended by the Planning Commission, and to unlink the rubbish pit from the rezoning and the proposal. To me, they should be separate things.
Thank you, Mr. Denton. Rob Martin.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'm Rob Martin. I also live across the street from all of this. I agree with Ricky. I'm sorry I didn't catch his name. The character of this area, they keep telling us, is becoming industrial. Okay, over there by FedEx and all of there, just this side, just west of Ross Road, there's a warehouse. It is GXO, it says. The GXO warehouse is 0.6 miles from the beginning of this area. 0.6 miles. That's not an industrial area. That's over there. It goes over to 305. That's industrial. We are agricultural and residential. Agriculture, go around. Look at the cornfields. There are cornfields over there along Pleasant. What's it? Yeah, thank you. And on Craft. There are cornfields over there. There are tilled pieces of property there where they've been doing all this work road-wise. There is there's a teal field at Church and Craft over there. There's a teal field on this property. I see it from my house. It's there. When they talk about it's not tillable, it's not good for livestock, okay. So the agricultural part, it is still zoned residential. I don't want to see a bunch of houses over there. I really don't. I love looking at the forest because somebody said it was a beautiful forest, and it is. But houses look a whole lot nicer than stores and places where people go to build whatever they're going to build. I understand it's not going to be warehouses, thank you. But other than that, it is the character of this piece of property, the character of our neighborhood is not becoming industrial. Now, if y'all pass this thing, it will become industrial, and then all the other properties that these folks own will also become industrial. And then we will live right in the middle of an industrial area. The school is not an industry. My career was in schools, and I never considered myself an industrialist. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Ashley Shade, am I close?
Hi, I'm Ashley Scheid. I am asking for you to accept the unanimous recommendation of the Planning Commission to deny the request to rezone the Craft and Church Road properties from AR to M3. Even after the data centers were removed, more than 200 residents attended the June Planning Commission meeting to express their opposition. Former Chairman Dorr commented that he had never seen the courtroom so filled. When the chairman asked for a show of hands from those opposed to this proposal, more than 90% of the packed room raised their hands. The citizens of Olive Branch have made their position unmistakably clear. I want to emphasize that I am not opposed to expanding the existing clean fill facility. If additional land is needed for that purpose, I believe many residents, including myself, would support a reasonable solution. However, I'm still struggling to understand why this county issue is solely Olive Branch's responsibility to solve, especially when it's been known about for years. What I cannot support is using that need to justify the creation of an entirely new heavy industrial district adjacent to established neighborhoods and a planned school. The city's 2040 comprehensive plan designates this area for agricultural and residential uses. That plan exists to provide consistency and protects residents from incompatible development. If the city is willing to disregard it whenever a large development proposal comes along, then what purpose does this plan actually serve? One question to the applicant that continues to go unanswered is why is a limited rezoning for the Cleanfield expansion not an option? During the Planning Commission meeting, the developer refused to separate the Cleanfield expansion from the industrial rezoning. Commissioner Lewis described that approach as holding the city hostage. This board should not be forced into an all or nothing decision that permanently changes this area. The developer has described this project as an innovation district that will attract advanced manufacturing, but zoning is permanent while marketing language is not. The developer spoke confidently about bringing high-tech jobs to the area. However, Mr. Unsong's PowerPoint, which we just looked at, identified 14 potential use cases for the development. 12 of them were standard manufacturing use cases, such as furniture assembly, sheet metal fabrication, food processing, and mattress and textile finishing. Only 3 use cases were potential high-tech facilities, and only if the local workforce can support it. Once this property is zoned M3, there is no guarantee that any high-quality employers will locate there. The City of Olive Branch does not need a new warehouse district. especially one that is surrounded on 3 sides by residential neighborhoods and 1 side by a proposed tech school that is about to be built. This decision should be based on what zoning allows, not what the developer hopes might happen. Tonight you have an opportunity to uphold this city's own long-term 2040 vision, respect the unanimous recommendation of the Planning Commission, and listen to the overwhelming voices of this community. Please deny this rezoning request and encourage the applicant to return with a proposal that addresses only the Cleanfield expansion while preserving the residential and agricultural character of Western Olive Branch. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Scheid. Michael Scheid.
Well, first, I feel like that's a tough act to follow, but appreciate your time here. Michael Scheid, husband of Ashley Scheid. So I'm a numbers guy. I have my degree in math. I work in a analytical capacity. 2 numbers stood out to me in the presentation today. The first was talking about the tax benefit that would come from this industrial area. It said more than 921 homes would need to be created for the same tax benefit for the city. But maybe Dr. Song can check my numbers, but if this property were rezoned to R1, you can get 3.5 homes per acre, and 3.5 homes per acre times 560 acres gets you 1,900 homes, more than the 921 that's needed to provide a better tax benefit for the city. That's the first thing. The second thing, Mayor Adams mentioned that $600,000 would be the new operating cost of hauling this clean fill elsewhere. I think we have about 47,000 residents per year, or residents in Olive Branch. Again, doing some math, it comes down to about $13 per person per year. I will gladly play that chair for myself and my family. All that being said, I respectfully ask you to deny the zoning request and development plan for this property. A couple more things. That the developer has argued that this is an extension, like some of the other speakers before me said, of the existing industrial district east of Craft Road. It's not. It's an expansion into an area surrounded by homes. Okay. It's much closer to dozens of families than it is to existing warehouses, as was proven earlier. Approving this rezoning would permanently change the character of Western Olive Branch. One of my greatest concerns, besides the noise and pollution, is traffic. So the developer says that trucks will use Nail Road to get into the facility, but we already see trucks illegally traveling on Craft Road today. If warehouses are built on this property, traffic on Craft Road and Church Roads will undoubtedly increase, despite any restrictions that may be written into the plans. These roads weren't designed to function as industrial truck routes. The developer has also promoted a future walking trail as a community benefit. They state it will be connected to the current trail being built near the soccer field, which sounds great, but how will residents safely reach it? There is no planned pedestrian bridge to cross Craft Road. Are families expected to cross a busy 5-lane roadway carrying commercial traffic just to walk on a trail built in a district of warehouses? That's not the kind of park or trail system that Olive Branch residents have asked for. Our citizens want connected parks, natural spaces, and trails that enhance neighborhoods, not disconnected sidewalks overlooking industrial buildings. The proposal asks the city to trade away the long-term character of this area for a development that offers no guarantees about the type of businesses that will ultimately locate there. Again, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended denial. Hundreds of residents voiced their opposition. The city's comprehensive plan calls for this area to remain agricultural and residential. These are very strong reasons to keep this property exactly as it is. Please make a motion to deny this request and preserve the character of Olive Branch for the families that live there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scheid. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you want to support each other, but honestly, clapping just doesn't meet the decorum of these meetings, okay? That one side can clap as well as the other, and I just appreciate what you're doing, appreciate you being here, but please hold the applause. It just takes away from the dignity and decorum of the meeting. Chris Turnbow.
Alderwoman, Alderman. My name is Chris Turnbow. I live in Olive Branch in Ward 3 with Chief Gamage. That was a beautiful presentation, and it tells us how they intend to benefit the city and the county by extending the landfill to bring it into compliance with regulation, and how much money that will save us. How they're going to install a beautiful greenway along the Church Road frontage for the use and enjoyment of the citizens of Olive Branch, and how they are not at all planning to build a disruptive, noisy, polluting, resource hogging data center. No, not at all. I'm not sure which part of their presentation insults my intelligence the most. There are a number of candidates. Maybe the assertion that the area was already essentially industrial because once upon a time it was quarried for stone, and there's a landfill on part of it, and the area around it is also industrial. Never mind that the quarry is now overgrown. The landfill occupies only a small corner of the entire area under proposal. And the industry is warehouses and distribution centers to the east only. North, south, west is residential. Maybe it was a sense of altruism they tried to impart, that they were mostly interested in benefiting the city and the county by helping out with the landfill and the greenway. Of course, the idea of just selling the land needed for the landfill was firmly rejected at the Planning Commission meeting. All or nothing, they said, which to my mind is a pretty blunt attempt to exert leverage on the city to give them what they want. Or maybe it was the assertion that they're not, in fact, planning to put a data center on that location, and therefore we can all go home and stop worrying about the potential ruination of the quality of life of everyone who lives nearby. Of course, whoever rents or purchases the property from the current owners, if this area has been rezoned, can put up a data center with all the odious apparatus that attends on that. So the fact that there are no current plans to build one does not reassure me. This assertion, I think, was the most offensive of the lot. It presumes that the citizens of Olive Branch that oppose this rezoning must be naive to the point of being idiots. The Planning Commission had the very best of reasons for rejecting this proposal, and I urge the mayor and the board to reject it as well. I go further. I do not want, and I imagine most of my fellow constituents do not want, to have to fight this fight every few months or years. I propose, therefore, that you, Mayor and Aldermen, ban data centers in this city for the foreseeable future. Then we won't have to worry about that and come to meetings like this en masse. We deserve the quality of our life to be preserved, and that is your job. The government of South Haven failed their citizens. We can learn from their example and do the right thing. I urge you to reject the rezoning proposal and to ban data centers in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turnbow. Amy West.
All right, sorry, I'm probably a little nervous, so. I'm Amy West. I'm here representing Autumn Point neighborhood. I do have a few neighbors here with me tonight as well, but being a busy first week of school, I know lots of people are not able to come. First of all, this room is maybe 150 feet long, and that will be right next to our neighborhood. So a warehouse, and let's just be honest, we're talking about warehouses. A warehouse 150 feet from our houses. We moved to our neighborhood, to our area, to not live in Memphis. We moved to Olive Branch when we moved to the area, to be in a nice small town without Memphis. You put this in, that's what you're gonna have. You are just bringing in Memphis, and you are pushing out the people who want to live here, want to live in a small town. They're just going out to the county. Don't think that you're not going to push out all the good, nice families. They're going to go. Because who wants to live 150 feet from a warehouse? Other than that, I can't top the Shides. They were very well prepared and had it all down, but know that this is it. So the people in our neighborhood, the people in the Shides neighborhood, the people across the street in Kraft, they're just going to be looking at a warehouse. What is that going to do to their property values? Don't think that it's not going to bring more crime to the area, because it is. What is it going to do to our roads? Trucks come into our neighborhood at least once a week. We are a very small residential neighborhood, and 18-wheelers come down our road every week. Don't think that they're not going to come more in our neighborhood, into the all the Autumn neighborhoods around us, and down Craft and Church. If they're coming into our little neighborhood, they are going to go on all of those roads. The city's comprehensive plan was established in 2019. That was only 7 years ago. 7 years ago, you said that this is going to be an industrial, not an industrial area. It's just going to stay residential. We're going to change our mind just in 7 years because somebody refuses to chop up the land. Sorry. Like they said, the landowner is holding the city hostage by not giving up that piece of land. And if they decide not to, and y'all don't approve this, I am happy to pay my $13 and everybody else's $13 in my neighborhood to not have that right down the road for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. West. Mike Briggs. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Briggs. Ty Harden. Thank you. Donna McBride. Yes, ma'am. Joe Crawford.
Yes, I've been up here the last 2 times and sat and listened to a guy, a resident from Hernando, promote his values for almost an hour. But you do not let me come up here and promote my values.
Okay, Mr. Crawford, this is about public comments on this particular item.
A resident of your city, you do not let me come up here and promote my values.
If you want to speak about this item, you're welcome to speak. But
Okay. He's a resident from Hernando.
He didn't mention his values. He mentioned this application.
It's very valuable to him.
If you don't get on topic, then you're going to have to stand down.
Here I go.
Okay.
He wants to bring his values to Olive Branch. If they're so beneficial, if they're so advantageous, why don't he take them to Hernando? There's a growing sentiment that Hernando is bougie and Olive Branch is trash. That's a growing sentiment. Go in Hernando and take a general survey.
Do you want this board to vote in favor or against this application? And if against it, why?
Because I don't want, when people think of trash, I don't want them thinking of Olive Branch. Okay. How about we send it to Hernando, and when we think of trash, we think of Hernando. I was going to bring something up, but I'm going to save it for next time, okay? God bless.
God bless you too. Scott Dahlberger. Am I close? Scott, okay, very good.
Yeah, my name's Scott Dahlberger. Pretty much agree with most everything that everybody else has said, but the landfill issue, if it's for the greater good of everybody in DeSoto County, our Constitution has provisions for eminent domain where you can take and give them fair market value for that section of property. I think you should consider that, get with the people at the county and use eminent domain for the landfill.
Thank you. Ronnie Easley.
Good evening, everybody.
I'm just looking at this from, I live in Pleasant Hill Estates, by the way, across Church Road from this plan development. And I look at it just kind of as a whole. I've been in Olive Branch since 1989. The industrial area that is created down behind the soccer fields and that area, if you look back years and years ago, there's been industrial area there for as long as I can remember, along 78, along 78 highway right there. But putting something like this in the middle of two very nice golf courses, in between several very nice neighborhoods, they keep talking about it was a mining area or whatever. Well, Bridgetown was a gravel pit too, and look at the beautiful two lakes they have. They have, homes on the water. I think there's a lot of area in this plan development that could be used for exactly that, instead of building some kind of an industrial park out of it. We have an industrial park out off the Hacks Crossroads out there, and I just feel like if that type of if it needs to be built in Olive Branch, it needs to go out towards that area and not in the middle of neighborhoods and golf courses and all that kind of thing. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Easley. Sally Peters.
Hi, my name is Sally Peters, and I'm the board president for College Hills neighborhood, and we are just on the other side of College at Kraft, if you know where we are. That's where we are. And there are a couple of things that I want to say that are just a little different from what everybody else has said. Now, I want to just challenge this alderman board right here, maybe on some different things. And I'll tell you just a real interesting thing that happened a couple of weeks ago. I moved down here about 8 years ago from Germantown. Grew up in Germantown all my life. Rode horses around before all the buildings, right where Campbell Clinic is now. I used to ride horses there just with my girls. And it was just an incredible place to grow up. Well, it's not that incredible anymore. And when I looked for a property, I looked 2 years around Germantown, Collierville, Piperton, and I finally found what I wanted in Olive Branch. And I said, gosh, this really isn't where I thought I would go. I never really considered Olive Branch as my hometown. And I said, but I really feel it's what I prayed about, and it's the answer to prayer. So I moved here. And after a little while, I said, great, this is awesome. I love Olive Branch, and I really do. And I vote every time, so just so all of y'all know that I do. But my family hardly will come visit me. They're Germantown, Memphis people. And I've told them, hey, it's great down here. Well, my niece recently came and said, you know what? We have fallen in love with it down here. We're moving to Silo Square. And I just went, what? Silo Square? And I thought about it, and I thought, well, Silo Square's got so much charm. It's beautiful. Somebody had such vision to build that the way it is. It is so impressive. Everything about it's impressive, everything. And they came down here, and they fell in love, and they're not going back. They're coming. And guess what my sister said? I'm coming too, to Silo Square. I went, great. I'm not. I'm staying in Olive Branch because I love Olive Branch. But the point is to you that this attracts people. When you put charm, when you put vision, and you create something that's something that people want to come to, and people can see themselves living there and enjoying life, that's big. And that's what I want people to get a vision. I would like for y'all to get a vision like that. And handle every bit of this as you handle all of us. Think about what it is we want as the people who live here, because a lot of people have said this already. People are going to move out. People are not going to stay here if there's a factory here. My niece who said she wants to move down here, her husband just graduated in supply chain. Guess where he works? At a warehouse in Fraser. So that's what we're talking about. When you start talking about putting warehouses 150 feet from our homes, we're all saying, absolutely not. That is not going to have a good long-term effect. Those warehouses are not going to be any better after day one. Day one, you might have beautiful warehouses, but they're never going to get better. In a year, it's gonna be down. You're gonna have empty warehouses and trash and all that. We've all seen it, and we know that, and that's why we're telling you, we don't want this. If that makes sense to you and you can hear me, I ask you to step back from this and just say no. Say, no, we're not doing this. We're gonna go back and get a different vision for our people. We're gonna find something that attracts good people, good, hardworking people who make a good living and want their children to.
10 seconds.
Okay. I don't want you to do it, but I really want you to walk away thinking you're gonna try to get a new vision for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. Terry Poinier.
Terry Pointer, live in Summers Place subdivision, and we're not far at all from this area. Most of what I had to say has been covered, but I do have two things. One, on Pleasant Hill Road, every time it rains, and it rains hard, we end up with a flooded area over by that fire station, which is like across from where you're talking about. If you put more concrete there, what's gonna happen to that area by the fire station? It's gonna flood more. The other thing is, I work with kids, so my brain works a little bit different than others. One thing that I've noticed is they're dangling the pit as like a little carrot in front of your nose to get what you want. We all know if you do it once, they're gonna go, oh, let the next person that wants something that we don't want, they're gonna say, let's find us a little carrot to dangle to get our way. Let's not start that precedent of having people dangle carrots in front of us to get the city to do things that the people who live in the city don't want.
Thank you, Ms. Poinier. Brian Williams.
Hello, I'm Brian Williams. I've got just a few points. I'm going to agree with most of what was said tonight. And first of all, I'll start off, we do not need to approve this. But one thing I hear more than anything else I'm hearing, we keep talking about this as agricultural area. It's really residential. It's residential and agricultural. Everybody seemed to leave the word out, residential. That's what this area is. Sure, it can't be used for farming too much because of the gravel pit that was there. There's a lot of things that can't be done for it, but it can be used for residential. Second thing I want to talk about is if you put it here, you're segregating a lot of the neighborhoods. You're putting buildings and factories and warehousing between neighborhoods. You're making little pockets in the city. You'll see what happened in Hickory Hill. That's what it had. That's what we're going to become. If that's what you want, that's what you're doing, and that's wrong. First of all, you drive down Craft Road. You're talking about that you really won't be able to see this. When I look over to that area, I can see 300, 400, 500 feet in there. 150 feet's not going to block my view. Those big trees are not right there on the side of Craft Road blocking this. It's not what it's being portrayed to be. Can't read all my writing here. Light industrial, that's e-commerce warehouses, it's distribution facilities, it's warehousing, it's manufacturing. It's not what is really being portrayed. Light industrial includes a lot more than what it makes it sound from what they're saying. I have a question for you guys. How many of you live in the area where you're going to see this? Is that a concern of yours? If you don't live in that area, you probably don't see it the same way as we do. That's one point I have here. Olive Branch is our hometown. You're making this to where we don't feel like it's a hometown. It becomes a truly warehouse distribution center. We're losing the charm that Olive Branch had for years and can still have, but you're building it away. Going forward with this project will destroy Olive Branch in the long run, because it'll just be the first step in many to making changes where people do not want to move here, do not want to stay here, and will not continue to to make Olive Branch grow as a community. It'll be just growing as a warehouse distribution city. That's what I see happening. And so again, I'm going to say, vote against this if you are truly for Olive Branch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Jenny Showles.
I live a little north of this area, more towards Craft and Goodman, on the south side of Goodman. Some of the points that brought up earlier are important, especially the traffic issue. I think one thing that definitely needs to be looked at is that Craft Road not only connects directly to 78, it also connects to 269. As everybody knows, truck drivers use maps. Maps aren't going to route them through Nell Road to Sandage Road to get to this area. They're going to send them to 78 to Craft or 69 to Craft. So the traffic's going to be there on Craft whether the developers want this or not. I also disagree with the fact that they're trying to rope it all in as a package deal and not doing the rubbish pit as a separate deal. I think eminent domain should be an option. Another concern I have is something that the doctor stated early on, that if this is approved for an industrial area, the board at a later date could approve it for a data center, which would definitely be detrimental to all the residential area surrounding this little plot of land. I'm sure you can scroll back to the screen that was color-coded where you had the bright purple in the center of all the yellow. I think that's a glaring photo of how bad this would be for this area. There was also another slide where I vaguely caught something at the bottom where it was like a list of uses. I don't know if you can scroll back to that. No, it was a different one. I think it was like a numbered list.
I'm not sure we can find that. Gentleman's trying over to my left, but what would your point be about the list?
There was something at the bottom about how that these type of jobs have actually been decreasing, but they want to propose that in the future those jobs could come back. Okay. I think that would be very important for everyone to pay attention to. Okay. No, I think everybody else has said a lot as far as opposing it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Showles. Randy Sluder.
Hi, I'm Randy Sluder. None of the subdivisions are showing at the moment, but I live in Margaret Manor. I moved there in February of 23. My son had already lived there, and I was so impressed with Olive Branch, I said, that's where I want to go. I came from the Hernando area, just outside the city limits, that Walmart had destroyed when the Lees sold the property to Walmart. Olive Branch, if you Google the motto for Olive Branch, it says, where one can live, work, worship, and play without leaving home. What a wonderful way to live. I fear if you follow through with this application, you will be destroying the heart of Olive Branch. It is a beautiful, small-town city with a feeling unlike the other cities in DeSoto County. I would like you all to consider the congestion on Craft and Church Road, especially during school time. If you doubt the congestion, go there at about 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and it is bumper to bumper. This will only add to it, and then we have the concern for school buses. I know they're not tax-paying citizens, but I would like you to also consider the loss of the environment for the animal life. I live in a neighborhood where I see water birds, I see songbirds, I see deer, I see raccoon. You may not care for them, but I taught science for 29 years, so I'm concerned with our environment. I fear the Greeks, even when bearing gifts. That rubbish pit sounds lovely, doesn't it? But is it worth what the residents of the area and Olive Branch are giving up? Would you want to live this close to this planned establishment? Perhaps we should go back and remember a song from the late 60s and the early 70s, Yellow Taxi Cab. Don't it always seem as though they don't know what they've got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. I'd like you to deny the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Luter. Is there anyone else that's in opposition of this application who did not fill out a card or hasn't spoke? Okay. Come forward. Anyone else other than this gentleman? Okay, I see you, sir.
It won't take me too long. My name is John Miller. I live in Lexington Crossing subdivision off of Hacks Cross Road. And I think this is a really good map that we have up here, because if you look at it, you can see the industrial area that we already have in gray. And so we already have plenty of industrial area. And so I think, we really are getting to the point where we just have plenty of industrial area in Olive Branch. I mean, we have plenty of trucks. We have plenty of diesel exhaust and so forth from those trucks. And so, I understand that our city is going to be part of that, and we're going to have a certain degree of that. And so we already have that. And I think that we really have kind of reached a level where we really have, as much of that as we really need. I don't know if we're like deep in a tax hole or something like that, or a revenue hole, but that's the only reason why I can think that we really need something, further above what we have already. So I'm hoping that we are meeting our financial needs from, what we already have, from the industrial areas that we have already. So, that's really the point, is that, I think we've done as much industrial as we need in the area. And as far as the application, which I'm against, I hope that you do vote against it. It is zoned for agricultural and residential. And so, the people who have, purchased this land knew that's what it was when they purchased the land. So I know they want to redistrict it, but when they bought it, they knew what it was. And so, that's what it is. So I really think it should, keep as it is right now, and that if we need more rubbish area and so forth, then, that's what it should be used for, to the degree that we need that. And so that's what I'm urging all of you folks to do. And I'm urging folks also to consider a possibility, I don't know how the city charter works, but to ban data centers in Olive Branch, period. However that happens, I don't know what provision that, needs to take, form of. But I would urge, the city to do that, so that we just have that out of the way, because we're all deeply concerned about that. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Anyone else? Very briefly, before the applicant has an opportunity to respond to, come forward. If you will, give the clerk your name and your home address, since you don't have one of the blue cards, so she can capture that.
Okay, my name is Trudy Payton. I live in Autumn Point, north of the proposed area. And I'm just opposed to it because We have lived here in Olive Branch since '93, and we have lived in Crumper Place and Autumn Point. We've raised our children here, and it's just been a wonderful place to raise our kids. And I'm just very saddened by this proposal. We have flooding problems in our neighborhood, and this is only going to make it worse. We have all kinds of, as Ms. West referred to, all the trucks that come in at least once a week, and those trucks don't just come in and turn around on the road. They turn around in our yards and ruin our yards. And it is a huge problem for our neighborhood, and that's only going to be worse. One other thing I would like to bring up is about, I was a teacher for DeSoto County in high school, and I'm very passionate. I was a vocational teacher. I'm very passionate about our children in DeSoto County, and the new career center that is going to be built there is going to be a great thing, but that industrial park is going to put our children at risk because of all the trucking traffic. It's going to create a lot more risk for our students driving in and around that area. And as you know, teenagers are not the safest drivers sometimes, but when there are big trucks up and down Craft Road and Church Road and on the way to Lewisburg schools, on the branch schools, there's going to be a lot more danger for our kids, and that just really saddens me. You know, our home that we have there is really about the biggest investment that we have made in our lifetime, and we have enjoyed it so much and enjoyed Olive Branch, and I just beg of all of you to vote against this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just a couple of administrative points. One, if you have an issue with trucks, especially turning around in your yard, call 662-895-4111 to the police non-emergency line. Police Chief Garcia is sitting in the back of the room, and I assure you he will send someone if you've got trucks, commercial trucks turning around in your yard on your property. Data centers came up a couple times. Dr. Song and Planning Commission, they have had 2 or 3 public hearings on data centers. Guidelines for data centers will be presented to this Board of Aldermen. Do we have a date yet?
At the next meeting.
Very next meeting, that's going to be August the 18th. Feel free to come back and give your input. It's a very restrictive ordinance, and very candidly, one would not even go on this property that's being discussed if, in fact, the board approves it. They may modify it. They have the right to do that, and they have the authority to do that. But we have a plan for data centers, and moratorium is not one, because when you do a moratorium, you've got to have a reason. You got to advise when you're going to lift it, and we have been working 4 months on a plan for data centers, so we're not going to back up at this point. Last item I heard warehouses mentioned a couple times. If you look at fake book, as I call it, because it's pretty fake, you think this city builds a warehouse every week. This Board of Aldermen in the city of Olive Branch has not issued a permit for a warehouse in over 3.5 years. Many of the warehouses you see now were already constructed before they came into the city of Olive Branch. So there's a misnomer on the warehouse business, and I just wanted to set the record straight on that. Now, the applicant does have an opportunity to come forward and address any items that were mentioned before the board takes it up any further. Thank you. The public hearing portion of this meeting is hereby closed. Mr. Barber.
Mayor Board, thank you for that opportunity to respond. I appreciate hearing the concerns and the comments that were raised. I've tried to cluster them into about 8 particular points. I won't hit every detail, but hopefully they will cover the substance of the comments that were made. Would just like to preface the comments again the way we began the presentation. The opportunity is for advanced manufacturing, economic development for the city. And it is associated with the expansion of the Cleanfield site. It is a package. It is a district. It is planned as a whole a whole unit, and it is quality planning for the quality expectations that the city of Olive Branch would demand. And that was demonstrated in our master planning. Dr. Asong put it on the screen, the various design components that we had to ensure that that occurred. So let me hit about, I clustered them, I have 7 here, I think that'll get it, maybe 8. If you could go to the sequencing, Asong please, where the shows the timeline, the year, there it was. Oop, right there. The site, by the way, mining is the term that the state of Mississippi uses. The Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality calls it surface mining, so we use that term. The mining occurred up until the year 2010. Began roughly in 1966. So over those years, the neighborhood, the site was being actively mined, and at a certain point, I believe it was 74, the clean field operations began, and in that interim period, the neighborhoods grew up around it, while it was an active mining site and a landfill, just in terms of the sequence. Now, to the character of the area, there's not been any cows on that site. It does not support a quality pasture. There is a field down in the floodplain over near Craft Road that is suitable for cultivation, but it comprises about, I'll guesstimate generously, 15% of the site. It may be less. So there are no livestock being raised there as an agricultural operation. It's not a silviculture operation, meaning forestry. It's not forested. You cannot cultivate it, most of the site. The vast majority of the site will not grow crops because it is a mined out former gravel mine, or gravel pit if you prefer that term. Mining is an industrial operation. The site has the character of industry because that's what occurred there over the years. And so the assertion is that the character of the area is industrial, and the proposed rezoning is in keeping with that character. Also to note that directly to the east is Distribution Park under construction, even with a street named Distribution Road or Distribution Way, nearly adjacent to this site. On to the west side, we are bookended by a future land use map that says industrial. So within that interim plane, we are proposing the advanced manufacturing use. No warehouses are proposed, no logistics centers are proposed. It is manufacturing and advanced manufacturing. In terms of the traffic, I believe this is number 4. In terms of the traffic is routed across Craft Road onto Nail and then over to 305. No development can occur there until that connection is made. That will be at least 5 years, and it's not unreasonable to think it in 10 years. So we're thinking of long-term future. One of the comments was stated that we want to attract quote-unquote good people. The jobs that are provided in the proposed center are those kind of quality jobs. That is what is targeted for the DeSoto Innovation District. Also mentioned the complementarity or complementary nature, if complementarity is a word, complementary nature of the site with the training facility that's being constructed by DeSoto County Schools, right there, compatible with the district. The drainage concerns, this site drains into Nolly Hole Creek and then into Camp Creek. It does not go, no water gets into Autumn Woods, no water on the site goes over to Pleasant Hill Road. It goes into two major creeks, and the site is amply provided with detention ponds to ensure that appropriate drainage matters are cared for. Just one more mention that this development is categorically, there was mention of light industrial. This proposed development is categorically different than light industrial, and it's categorically different than what's directly to the east of it. It is unique in that regard in the advanced manufacturing target of it. And then finally, the buffering is substantial. The trees along Church Road at 150-foot buffer are to be preserved. That site behind that 150 and behind that natural berm will not be seen from Church Road. Then on the Craft Road side, there's substantial buffering all the way around the site to mitigate any sight lines. We've already talked about the noise and so forth. The last point being there was mention of the pedestrian component. Just to reiterate, it's the extension of from Craft Road down to Church Road frontage, the Greenway Trail system as the project is built out. So I hope mentioning the character, the industrial nature of the site, the careful planning of the site, the compatibility of the area, the need for this type of economic development, all of those factors combined, and then the care for how it interfaces with the surrounding area, we would very much respectfully request that the rezoning be approved, also based upon the various justifications we provided earlier for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Barber.
Thank you.
Board, do you have any questions of the applicant or staff?
I've got one question for Mr. Bridgeforth. Maybe some of your folks can answer this. The potential, no, Barry, the land that's zoned AR, y'all have developed a lot of subdivisions and a lot of different things. What's the shape of that land to develop houses on in the AR part? I know it's an old gravel pit, but that's probably not very conducive to building houses on. So if you can elaborate on that.
I forgot my hearing aid, John. But it's a lot easier to do something bigger in industrial, things like that. You have to worry about each little slab breaking in residential business. It's over 300 acres has been mined and reclaimed, all of the 520 acres. So the optimum thing would be, so since I'm here, I'll go ahead and get up here. I'm Barry Bridgeforth, and I'm one of the 50 Bridgeforth owners of this property. I own a small portion, but I do all the legwork for my family. We've been here over 8 generations. We have 3,000 acres of land just on the other side of Pleasant Hill Road that goes over to Malone Road and goes all the way to Bridgetown. And we have designated and already got plans to do all that in real high-dollar residential property. And, you know, I tried to convince Mr. Gambone with that, but he never would give in on it. You can't have nothing but houses. You've got to have businesses. You got to have ways to pay for the streets, picking up the garbage and doing this. We were only looking for a way for the county to extend their rubbish pit. It is not fair for the city or these residents to ask us to pay the damages that it takes being the landowner all the way around. We only have 460 acres in this industrial application, but we got 1,100 acres right around that that rubbish pit. 1,100 acres that belongs to different Bridgeport, north, south, east, and west. So we're asking to give us something to grow to, and I can assure you, we won't be out there doing anything for probably not mine in Laney's lifetime. By the way, Laney's at home with no pneumonia, and I just want y'all to pray for him. All I can say is we feel like with the proper industrial product that we're putting out there, it's better than what was approved in the county. It came in the city at a later date. Go to Airways and State Line Road and look at that development up there. And those two big warehouses bought that whole area of South Haven back. Everything from I-55 all the way to Elmore Road. Two big, perfectly beautiful warehouses with landscaping galore, water retention, sprinklers, everything. It can do it, y'all. And this can be a big asset to the city of Olive Branch, plus the city of Olive Branch gets a rubbish pit. Now, any questions for me that I need to answer? Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Bridgeforth. Any
Mayor,
questions?
let me make a couple of observations from what we heard tonight. Ms. Sluter talked about the traffic on Craft Road, how bad it is right now. Can you imagine what that traffic would look like if they built that many houses? And Mr. Shine, I believe you said if they did R3, put 1,900 homes down there? Can you imagine what y'all would do if we said we got an application for 1,900 homes along Craft Road? It wouldn't be a single one of y'all here that would support that. Y'all would all be up in arms. So we couldn't possibly have that many cars added to that area because the traffic wouldn't be able to stand it. And the last thing I'll say is that everybody has talked about needing houses there. Let's put houses in that location. But I haven't heard a single person say, I would love to live in a house next to 100 and something acres of a landfill. I don't think a marketing person would have a nightmare trying to sell houses and say, okay, you're right next to 100 plus acres of a landfill. It just wouldn't work. I know that none of y'all would have bought, if you've been here 20, 30 years, 10 years, 8 years, you wouldn't have looked at a place that was that close to a landfill. You would have looked elsewhere.
Merrill, let me.
Mr. Gamage.
When this process started, I said I would carefully consider the feedback of the residents, the recommendation of the planning staff, and the overall public interest. At this present, it's clear that it's substantial neighborhood opposition that warrants serious consideration. While I recognize the importance of economic development, not every development is appropriate for every location. In this case, the residents or the homeowners in the area invest in their property with reasonable expectation that nearby development will be consistent with the residential nature of the community. Placing a large industrial phase immediately adjacent to their homes represents a significant departure from those expectations and raise legitimate concerns about the future quality of life of the neighborhood, in my opinion. As an elected representative, one of my primary responsibilities is to protect the interests of the residents I serve. Based on the substantial opposition expressed by the citizens here and it's not here, and concerns presented to this date, I cannot support this proposal in its current form. Now, it may be something come up later that I can, but at this time I cannot, in good faith, support this. Mayor.
Is that a motion, Alderman?
Hey, I want to make a comment too. before we propose.
Let's clarify, if that's, is that a motion, Mr.
You
Gammon?
not make a motion.
That's not a motion.
No motion, just comment.
Just comment.
Yeah.
Mr. Collins?
Before if we propose this thing, I want to, first thing is eliminate any entrance off of Church Road. I want that to be, whether you vote for it or against it, that will eliminate the entrance off of Church Road. I wanted to ask about the 150 feet. Yeah, that keeps coming up. Is it 150 feet from the right-of-way or the center of the road?
From the right of way.
So, off Church Road, it'd be the top of the hill, right?
It would be from wherever the top of the right of way is.
Yeah, up to the top of the hill. And so it'd be 150 feet from the top of that hill then, or wherever the right-of-way is. Yeah, okay.
Which in essence could be 185, 200, or.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think they would build a warehouse at 150 feet because they'd want some space between it, so it would be more space. I'm just trying to, in my mind, before we, try to vote on this thing, I don't want the entrance off of Church Road. We're sitting here, and I understand from Mr. Bridgeford, if we expend it, if they're gonna not get this, then they're gonna have to try to figure out how they're gonna develop this, and they don't want the clean rubbish disposal thing to be expanded. So, so I understand his point, and I also understand the people's point. I'm just trying to tell you that. But we're trying to make, if we do approve it, as good as we can. And if we don't approve it, then we don't approve it. But I do want to eliminate that, and that's about. And I just wanted to make this comment because everybody is important to me. I'm like, Alderman Gammage. I listened to everybody, and I've tried to address some of the concerns if we vote for it, and if we vote against it, what the concerns are. But anyway, all right.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Ms. Hamilton?
Yes. A song, will you please put the picture back on the screen that has the ABC where the lots are?
The 4 phases?
The 4 phases, thank you.
Yeah.
Or the areas or the phases?
This is it, this will be fine.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming, and for those of you who spoke, and I'm sure you spoke for a lot of your other neighbors that are not here. I do live right off of Craft Road, but I'm north of Goodman, but that's your area is where I travel. And I know that none of us like change. We like for things to stay pretty well the way that they are. We're used to that. I'm very impressed with what has been presented, the state-of-the-art center, even though I don't understand all the dynamics of it. But I still am uncomfortable with the term manufacturing, anything to do with industrial, anything to do actually with trucks. Some of you mentioned the trucks that are on Craft Road. I do know that there are other areas in the city, about 1,200 acres in the city that is open for this type of development. I really have a problem with the development going west of Craft Road. So I would like now to make a motion. I would like to rezone area B, actually I did need B, to agricultural zoning and allow the rubbish pit, and then to deny the rezoning of the remainder of the land.
Thank you, Ms. Hamilton.
Dr. Song, can you put up the phasing plan, not the phasing plan, but the area plan? Because Alderwoman Hamilton's motion made reference to area B. Yes, there's in your staff report, there's, I believe, on page 4 of your staff report is, I believe, the map. Map 2 on page 4 of your staff report, I believe, is the diagram that Alderwoman Hamilton is referring to.
a slide here that addresses just the use area.
Back up.
I think
This one.
for purposes of Alderwoman Hamilton's motion, if you do not have page 4 of your staff report, phase 1 shown on the phasing plan corresponds with area B, that is the clean fill area that has been designated for clean fill. So phase 1 is the clean fill area. Is that correct, Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Okay.
So for clarity,
Phase 1 is
Yes.
clean fill.
the landfill.
So Alderwoman Hampton, I understand your motion to be to rezone phase 1 that's shown on the map, which is the clean fill area, the area that's been designated to clean fill. Your motion is to rezone that to the A agricultural district, which would
Right.
allow a rubbish pit as a conditional use,
And
and then
deny
deny the remainder of the
Deny the
application.
remainder.
Okay, Board, y'all have heard any additional clarification need on that? There's a motion on the floor to approve the portion with the landfill and to deny the remainder. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Gamage. Any discussion, Board? Roll call vote, please, Ms. Stewart. So to answer in the affirmative would be that you would be approving the clean field or to approve the rubbish pit area and to deny the industrial and the other area up close to Craft Road. That would be an affirmative vote.
Mr. Mayor,
That's correct.
this application was.
No, sir. No, sir. That you run the risk when you come before this board that they have the decision to do that, they have the legal authority to do that, and we have a motion and a second. Not at this time, Mr. Bridgeforth.
Then we move to withdraw the application.
It's too late, Mr. Bridgeforth. You cannot withdraw it at this time until this vote concludes. If they don't vote, then you'll have an opportunity to do that. So there's a motion and there's a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Aldridge? Yes. Collins?
No.
Dickerson?
No.
Earhart?
No.
Gamage?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Wallace?
No.
4 noes, 3 yeses. That motion dies. Mr. Bridgeforth, you're asking to withdraw this application? I thought maybe not. Okay, that motion died, did not carry. Is there any other motion before
Mayor,
this
may I
honorable
make
board?
a comment and suggestion in the form of a motion? First of all, my comment would be this. Again, thank all of you for participating. It's a tough decision, and we truly appreciate hearing all of your input. I know change is tough. I live in Maywood, been here for 30 years. And in 30 years, I've seen a swimming pool go away. I have seen wildlife be diminished, although we still have deer, ducks, and turkey in Maywood. When I moved in, there was no Walmart, there was no Home Depot, there was no hotels, and now there are. And yet I can honestly say I barely notice them at all today. It's just the thought of it when we initially happened. I would also ask you to consider this. You know, sometimes we have to make difficult decisions and 2 paths are in front of us. One path is a known way and one is maybe an unknown way. And currently we have a path with a known outcome, which is a landfill, and for lack of better terms, as I've heard it tonight, an industrial park, which I don't think it will turn out to be that way. On the other hand, if we don't choose the known path, a future mayor and board of aldermen may turn over the wishes of the city at that time to housing. It could be an approval for apartments. It could be an approval for high-density housing, which right now leads to a lot of rental homes. And every person on this board would probably say we get tons of calls, no more rentals, no more apartments. So we have a known path before us, and we have an unknown path that may not be what we want either. It has been mentioned too that, I think Mr. Dickerson alluded to this, I don't know that I'd want to look out and see a warehouse either, and I think the way this is developed, it will be minimal notice, if anything, but I do agree too that I would not buy a house next to a landfill pit or in a flood zone. A lot of this property is a flood zone.
So Mayor, I would tender a motion tonight with some changes. And if it's okay with you, I do have this printed for the board to look at, because it's quite a lot, and Mr. Dye, if it's okay, I will read these, but if you want to use my copy, I've got a few slight changes for the motion. Is that okay?
I think it would be preferable for you to read it as well as pass it out.
Absolutely. And I have made a few changes to this as we've gone on. My recommendation would be as follows in the form of a motion to allow the city planning staff and Orion Planning to adjust the project text as follows. Consider the relocation of the Church Road access for automobiles. I'll let them work out that details because they are the professionals there. Show only the permitted architectural style buildings as shown in the current master development plan of 2026, which we saw tonight, so there would be no question that we would not get slab, square concrete warehouse buildings. The building should not exceed 400,000 square feet in total and be limited to a 50-foot height, which we already have in our hotel and industrial zoning. Consider 2 or 3 roundabouts in the industrial park for traffic calming. Again, I'm not the expert to put those there, but I would like to see that worked out. Create an internal courtyard or park, if you will, so that if there are any loading zone doors at all, they would face inward toward that courtyard or park and therefore eliminate noise and sight from the general public. Focus on green space and aesthetic quality for public-private view, as well as the desired economic impact and environmental impact. Have an intense scrutiny of the water retention and stormwater runoff so as not to exacerbate any possible flooding or erosion of Knoll Hole Creek and Camp Creeks. I would like it said that permitted uses would be medical, pharmaceutical, electronic, and other research and development uses consistent with the desired overall project text. Higher education extension campuses such as Mississippi State, Ole Miss, or any other university can come in and coordinate with our tech center that's being built on the east side. I also like the consideration of a think tank or convention center for promulgating technology and business growth in this area. And I definitely would add these prohibited uses. It's already been said tonight in the project text, there will be no permitted data centers. They will not be allowed in a conditional use permit. And furthermore, as the mayor has mentioned, in 2 weeks, we will be rezoning some of that to prohibit the location of those anyway. There are to be no packaging facilities at this particular site. There will be no logistic type warehouses, that is the common term for trucking and storage and moving of product. And lastly, and this is an add-on for everybody who has my sheet, there would be no manufacturing facilities that is not compatible with the desired intent of a technology park. And I know that was a mouthful, that's why I wrote it out, but Mayor, that is my motion. I'd like to table that to the meeting in 2 weeks to give our city staff and Orion time to work on these details.
I'd like to make a comment. You know, I've sat up there, I listen to everybody, and I care. I grew up right here in town. My dad was born in the old part of town. I've never left. I keep hearing everyone say, I moved here 20 years ago, I moved here 30. I think it's great. We've been here 100 years, and we love it too. I remember someone saying that I grew up around a warehouse. I grew up when they built Keene Lighting across the street. We didn't like it much, but it was there. And then later on, I worked there for a little bit when it became Bozoff Dinettes. Didn't like it either. But I did have something to work on. Then there was another place that opened up. It was a little before my time. It would have been at Alderman Dickerson and George's time when they put Polarcraft boats right here in town. They built them right here in town. That's where the first development was. I don't like some of it. I don't like a lot of it sometimes. Sometimes it's the right thing to do, but I definitely don't want 10 years to go. Maybe I'm not here, maybe I'm under the ground. But it could be apartments in. At least right now I have a chance to steer it one way or the other. I do appreciate all the comments, and I like them, and I actually respect all of them. I think they're all good. I don't disagree with any of them. But I also know that when my dad graduated high school, we had 400 people, 380 something
When I graduated high school right here, we had 1,900. If we didn't develop some or grow some, the only ones in this room would be me, Mr. Dickerson, Miss Hamilton, and Mr. Medlin in the Bridgeforth family. That I've only known them through my parents. I'd see them at like my dad would go to a board meeting, I'd see them. Or that's it. There would be nobody else here in this entire room. Doesn't mean that I think anybody's wrong or right. I actually think most of you are right. But I also think about what happens if we don't direct it in a certain way. Because there's some places in the town right now that no apartments. There's some hotels that have been on the books for 30 years. We can't change them. They're right here by the city park. They wanted to change them to apartments, and we said no. But what do you do? Sometimes you have to think about what's 20 or 30 years, I won't be here probably. It'll be 10 years before any of this is ever done. Or it's ever started. So I'm going to second Alderman Earhart's request.
We want to have comments, and Mr. Collins one in just a moment, but I do want the board to understand, if it's tabled based on these conditions, and they may be very good conditions, but there's no assurance the applicant will agree to any of these. Mm-hmm. They're not required to. So that's just know that if it's continued out, that they may or may not agree to those. So, Mr. Collins?
Okay. All right. Did you say they could agree to?
That they're not required to.
In his motion, they're not required to?
Right, because he's asking for it to be tabled so these items can be taken up with Planning Commission and the applicant, if I heard you right, Mr. Earhart.
Correct.
You want it to go back to the Planning Commission?
No, I want it to go directly to our staff and Orion to work these details out.
Okay. All right. What about the entrance to Church Road?
That was listed number one.
You added that in there, right?
To have that relocated.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, you said that they didn't have to agree to the conditions. What if we, instead of tabling this, we included all of these conditions as part of the project text tonight? They would have to agree, or either they wouldn't be able to do it either.
I want Mr. Dye to speak to that, but my thoughts are that the ones that you would vote on and agree to, all the others listed would not be allowed. It would be restricted just to those 4 or 5 items. Mr. Dye?
The board does have authority to adjust. Hypothetically, if the board were approving the rezoning in the project text, the board has authority to establish conditions that are applicable to that project text. The only problem with this list, and there's nothing problem with it from a concept standpoint, but the ideas aren't sufficiently developed in order for the board to be able to adopt these as conditions on project text approval. For example, it's saying to consider 2 or 3 roundabouts. It's to focus on green space. It's not sufficiently developed for approval tonight. As I understand Alderman Earhart's motion, the motion is to table to allow these concepts to be worked on between planning staff and between the applicant. But I don't think that it's in a form tonight that's conducive to adoption by the board because it's not sufficiently defined. I think if the board adopted the sheet that Alderman Earhart passed out, I think it would beg the question of what did the board actually approve. I think the approval would be too ambiguous and vague.
Well, let me ask you then, if we're going to table it, I guess we would have to ask the developer, does he think he can agree to those conditions or a workable condition in 2 weeks?
I think that the issue aside, that's a legitimate question. I think in addition to that question, the question is whether our staff can do this in 2 weeks, with or without the agreement of the developer. Is whether 2 weeks allows sufficient time for that process. And if the other issue you get into is a due process issue, if the changes are so substantial, does it provide, is there notice to the public? The public hearing, for example, Mayor, has been closed. And so if you have changes that are substantial to a point, and there's no defined litmus test in the law for this, but you could have changes that are so significant that it may warrant or may justify or may desire additional public comment, or maybe not. And then there's also, you reach a level of departure from the application and what was heard tonight, where it could, for example, be warranted to remand it to the planning commission. All those are options that are available to the board, but my only encouragement to the board with respect to that is to make sure that it's developed into a form where you know what you're voting on. And tonight, I think if Alderman Earhart's list is helpful to the board, it's just not sufficiently fleshed out to vote on tonight. And so I think the recommendation to table is before the board. Mayor, you have a motion and a second to table to 8/18. It's just possible that you get to the 18th and not be ready because you don't have a product that's actually in a form that can be voted on.
Staff, is 8/18 long enough for this to be reconsidered and for meetings to take place with the applicant?
Two things about that, Mayor. I've just discussed with Mr. Barber, we can get on this and get something that addresses all these comments before you on the 18th. That's one. It's possible. On the 18th, you already have about 5 other public hearings set. So that's something to consider, whether you want to add this to the 18th or you want to push this forward. But you already have about 5 public hearings that were set for the 18th. But in terms of getting all of this done, we can get it done.
So did I understand you said we have 5 other items on the 18th similar to this, or?
That are public hearings.
Public hearings, okay.
Yes, we have about 2 rezonings, project text amendments, zoning code amendments, appeal of a BZA decision, which are all public hearings. There are about 4 or 5 that are already set for the 18th.
And a budget, special call budget meeting.
Would it be wise then to change that motion date to the first meeting in September? Is that sufficient or better based on our workload?
I think it is better. I do think that it has to be to a date certain, or you would have to re-advertise, to provide notice to the public. So it has to be tabled to a date certain, and the 18th is not conducive.
And Mr. Dye, can the motion, if the aldermen are so inclined, can the motion include additional public comments based on the new application or the refined application?
They can, and plus that resides within your discretion as chair of the meeting.
The citizens should be able to come back and give public comments. You hadn't seen the plan. You need to look at it, give your input to the board if it's going to be continued.
Well, then, Mayor, to allow the public sufficient time to view this and our staff and Orion better time to work on this, I will change that date of the table to September 1st. I believe it is the first meeting in September. My ask are the same, but the table date would change to September 1.
Is there a second for?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collins. Any more discussion? Roll call vote.
Aldridge? Yes. Collins?
Yes.
Dickerson?
Yes.
Earhart?
Yes.
Gamage?
Yes.
Hamilton?
No.
Wallace?
Yes.
6 yes, 1 nay. This is tabled until September the 1st, till such time the planning department can work with the applicant and citizens will be allowed to give input once the new design is drafted and brought to the overheads again. Thank you everyone for being here and for giving your input. Continuing on the agenda, Planning Commission new business. This is a public hearing date for consideration and action on a motion declaring the condition of the following properties to be a menace to public health and safety and directing either the city staff or contract labor to clean the property forthwith. Let's wait till they
Mayor,
clear.
yeah,
We'll wait till they clear. You want to speak? The lawn? Very good.
Yeah, there was a lot, guys.
Muhammad? Okay. That's fine. Very good. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Okay, the Planning Commission, new business, I've covered the main text of it. Dr. Song?
Thank you, Mayor. The first property that you have, this is a piece of property owned by Progress Residential at 7315 Carabin. This property has been cleaned, as you see it on the pictures before you. The yard has been cut. The other one at 4968 Wheat Cove, that has also been beautifully manicured. The one at 10301 Quay Road, we actually checked that one this afternoon. It's also been cut. So we have 3 of those, actually 4. The one on Fox Creek, 7399 Fox Creek Drive. We checked that this afternoon. It has also been cut. These 2, the one on Quail and this one on Fox Creek, these were cleaned after the staff memo was sent to you last week. We have 2 that have not been cleaned yet. There is this piece of property. This is Old Craft Road, Lamb Road, the right way, the railway is just behind this piece of property off of Old Craft Cove. It's not been, this parcel has not been cut, see the overgrown grass here. And then lastly, you have this other piece. Now, this is a bit of an interesting piece of property at 9350 Longwood Drive. The front of the yard is cut, but somehow they've got this overgrown bush. It looks like maybe it was a garden in the past that has been abandoned. Nobody is taking care of the rear yard of the property, and so it's just overgrown. We've sent notices, nobody has attended to them. And so staff's recommendation before you is that you declare the condition of these 2 properties to be a menace to the public health and safety, and direct either city staff or contract labor to clean the properties forthwith, just those 2. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Song. So 7315 Carabin has been cleaned, correct?
Yes, sir.
So there's a gentleman here, I think, that wanted to speak on behalf of that. It's off the list. Whatever took place, they're content, and there's nothing needed. You're welcome to address the board if you'd like. Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate you sitting through this.
Yeah, yeah. Still need to learn how to spell bougie. Can't spell bougie or charcuterie platter, either one. Okay. These other 2 properties, one on Lamb Road and one on Longwood, if you are here to speak for, against, or anything on these properties, come forward. Anybody want to speak about south end of Lamb Road, 7315 or 7216 Lamb, or 9350 Longwood? Seeing none, hearing none, public comments are closed. Board, any questions? See the pictures again, just those 2? Yep. Mr. Wallace made a motion for both properties, Mr. Wallace. Yes. And second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. New business, approve final change order number 2 on the contract with Phillips Contracting Company Incorporated in the deductive amount of $51,611.80, decreasing the contract amount from $922,338.30 to $870,726.50, accept the project as complete, and authorize final payment in the amount of $44,486.32 for the project referred to as the Pleasant Hill Road Widening Project. So, Mr. Swims, this is basically complete, and there's a amount deductive from the contract.
Yes, sir. These are just, you got a number of, that you have in your packet where we've done closeout items, small adjustments on everything, but anyway, they've balanced out, or balanced in a fashion that we're actually having a deduct on it. So this is the one that's in front of Pleasant Hill Elementary, and we do recommend approval for this to
any questions or motions, board?
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, consideration of recommendation to approve a memo of understanding between the City of Olive Branch and DeSoto County Regional Utility Authority for an amount not to exceed $12,000 for cost share of an Nolly Hole pipeline analysis. Just in summary, this is where lines come together around 302, sewer lines come together around 302 Malone Road. Some of that section is at capacity, and it's unclear whether that flow is coming from Olive Branch's side or South Haven's side. Is that correct?
It could be a portion of all of them. We know that we've got flows coming in from South Haven. We know we have flow coming in from the north from Olive Branch into this sewer system. And there's been a number of times where we've had overflows, and so it goes into the Crua's interceptor sewer. So the Crua at the time had worked with Wagner to get this studied, and we had discussed it at the meeting that we thought that would be in the best interest for us to work together, kind of split these costs. The information that we're getting from the task order that the Crua did is going to help us determine how we need to move forward to correct this, whether it would be a combination of both cities and the Crua, or whether it would lean more toward another. So we do recommend that we participate in this and pay a portion of this cost to get this information for us.
So these are meters to measure the flow from Olive Branch, South Haven, to determine what needs to be done and who really is responsible for paying for the repairs, which will be a lot more than $12,000.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any questions or motions?
Motion to approve.
Motion. Second. Mr. Gammons. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to leave executive session with the intentions of going into, leave regular session with the intention of going into executive session for items 1 through 7? Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That was Collins. Hamilton was motion second. I've been spoiling y'all, hadn't I, telling you who's making these motions? So you got it? Is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss the personnel matter in the airport department and in the ambulance department and in the fire department and in the gas maintenance department and in the police department and in the sanitation department and in the water maintenance department? Is there a motion to go in executive session for those 7 items?
So move.
Earhart motion. Second Aldridge, all in favor? All opposed? We are in executive session.